say the old folks. It goes to show you never can tell.
The Budweiser pregame show is brought to you by Budweiser. With the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Rain washed away the off-day workouts for both the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. Seems Mother Nature is as overpowering as the pitching that has stymied the Sluggers, and as the series tied at 1 game apiece. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside the Fox Network Center. I'm Jeannie Zelasco along with Kevin Kennedy. The road to the World Series goes through Fox Sports, your exclusive home for the entire postseason. Of course, it remains to be seen if Mark McGwire will make his home on the bench the rest of the postseason. But the Rookie of the Year candidate most likely is certainly feeling a void.
Definitely. He's in the lineup hitting fourth, and this guy did a great job this year driving in 130 runs with 37 home runs. And in Game 2, after getting shut out by Curt Schilling, what does he do in the first inning off of Randy Johnson? He hits a fastball, opposite field, slices it inside the right field foul pole for a big 2-run home run to get the St. Louis Cardinals on the board, get some confidence early in that ball game. Fourth inning, Pujols again, a slider down and in. Good pitch by Randy Johnson. Better hitting by Pujols, base hit to left field. He is their heart and soul now, hitting fourth in that lineup, sandwiched in between J.D. Drew hitting third and Jimmy Edmonds today hitting fifth behind him.
I don't know. It's just nice to see that someone's bat is working because the D-backs have been struggling.
Yeah.
Bob Brenly quick to point out, hey, don't get on Randy Johnson for his loss. We didn't even score a run till he got out.
No, and especially a couple of key guys. Their third hitter, Luis Gonzalez, has got to start swinging the bat. 0 for 8 in this series. Had a tough time. Now, the St. Louis Cardinals pitchers all have good fastballs, but they all have good curveballs. All three key starters. Woody Williams with the fastball there. A breaking ball here. Look at this. But remember the defense in center field, who it is out there. That's Jimmy Edmonds taking a hit away, possibly a double or a home run away from Luis Gonzalez. Now, Matt Williams hit 6 today. Curveball right there, adding insult to injury, hits himself in the eye. He was okay, but Woody Williams was much better. Fastball up and out of the zone. And today's starting pitcher also has a great curveball in Darryl Kile, and that's what they're seeing. Morris, Williams, and Kyle all have great curveballs, and so far the D-backs have not been able to solve it.
They're not alone because silent bats are also part of the problem for the Astros. Once again, the Killer Bees have lost their sting in the October spotlight. Bagwell, Biggio, and now Berkman, a combined 5 and 21 with 0 RBIs. Once again, Houston was dealing with postseason elimination possibilities. It's now or never for the Astros. Braves fans rubbing it in, and so is Paul Bacco, bottom 2.
Paul Bacco, base open, 2 outs, runner at second base, pitcher on deck, 1 and 2 pitch. Reynolds gives up a home run to Bacco, who replaces Javi Lopez.
But wait, there's more. Bottom 8 with a man on. Chipper Jones goes off. 6-2 Atlanta.
And now John Smoltz, who came in the 8th inning with a 2-run lead, finishes off in the 9th inning with a 4-run lead. And the 3rd save of the series. John Smoltz, outstanding, 3 for 3 in save conversions in the division.
And Atlanta's making their 9th trip in 10 years to the NLCS. The Braves face Houston in the first round for the 3rd time in 5 years. The results pretty much the same. Major League Baseball postseason has just one home. Watch the tourney unfold only on Fox.
And I think Larry Dierker really had a negative going when he did not pitch to the rest of the San Francisco Giant ball club, or did not pitch to Barry Bonds, and worried about him and didn't worry about the rest of that ball club. They lost the series. I think it got the Houston Astros ball club on a negative for the end of the season, and they had to scramble to beat the Cardinals. And who knows, this could cost him his job, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you thought that was negative, I think this is now really negative.
Yeah.
Coming up, we will tackle the age-old question, is there life after Schilling and Johnson? And just what happens when their living legends leave the mound? It's the moment the Cardinals have been waiting for.
Budweiser pregame show.
He's left the desert, but did Matt Williams leave his hitting drought behind? He needs the bat for the D-backs to thrive. Of course, the Cardinals did more than survive the 1-2 punch in Arizona. They managed to get a win versus Randy Johnson without Mark McGwire in the lineup and leave with a series split. So the way the Cards see it, the D-backs have played both of their aces, and they still have one up their sleeves, as in Darryl Kile.
They really do. They've got a better depth of their starting rotation with Darryl Kile pitching in the 3rd spot against Miguel Batista. Now, starting with Matt Morris, their ace, all Cardinal starters, particularly the first 3 guys, have great curveballs. Matt Morris was outstanding in Game 1, even though he lost. Woody Williams, the same thing in Game 2. Good fastball, good overhand curveball. You see one right there to Jay Bell, getting Williams a chase up out of the zone. Darryl Kile, you're going to see the same thing today. A fastball anywhere from 91 to 94 miles an hour. That'll paint on the outside corner when he's on. And then he's got that great 12-6 overhand curveball. And once in a while, he'll change the arm angle, dropping down with a slider. Now, Miguel Batista has had 48 appearances this year, 18 of those for starts for Bob Brenly's ball club. He's got a pretty good split-fingered fastball, which he's developed the last couple of years. Good overhand curveball as well. Not as good as Darryl Kyle's, and a good fastball, 93 to 95 miles an hour. Notes for the game, Arizona, Bautista 2-0, doing well in his last 4 appearances. Gonzalez has got to start hitting, no secret about that. Arizona 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. That's trouble right there. St. Louis, Darryl Kyle's done well, and the Cardinals 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. As well. Now, why no Mark McGwire? We said this in game 2. I felt his presence had to be in there. I know he's been struggling striking out. He still has a 1 home run to every 10 at-bat ratio this year. I think they need his presence in the lineup. I know they won game 2, but they did that because of great Woody Williams pitching. They could easily be down 2 games right now. I'd like to see McGwire in that lineup.
All right, that's going to do it for us. But up next, Budweiser presents Game 3 of the NLDS between the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. The journey continues in St. Louis with the sounds of silence. We know the Cardinal fans will guarantee some noise. It's the quiet bats that have both teams concerned. The road to the World Series continues next on the Fox Family Channel.
Ooh, ain't got no
Back to the Budweiser pregame show.
I'm Jeannie Zalasko at the Fox Network Center with Schilling and Johnson on the mound. The Diamondbacks were supposed to have a 2-0 lead by now, but a funny thing happened on the way to St. Louis. The Cardinals managed some quality pitching of their own. This NL Divisional Series is all tied up with just one place to go, to Joe Buck and Tim McCarver with all the action from Busch Stadium.
Thank you, Jeannie, and welcome to Division Series Baseball. It is game number 3 in a sold-out Busch Stadium here in St. Louis for the Arizona Diamondbacks and the St. Louis Cardinals. And now welcome inside this broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with Tim McCarver. We were in New York last night. The Yankees are in trouble. The Astros are already out. This is game 3 of this series, and Tim, no doubt that the Arizona Diamondbacks rotation is very top-heavy. The best 1-2 punch in all of baseball, no doubt, with Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson. But they're a little thin after that. That's why tonight's game is vital for them, because if they lose, they will move their top 2 guys up to pitch on short rest.
Unless it rains tomorrow, and the forecast is horrible. If it rains and rains out the game, that creates a very interesting scenario. Then Curt Schilling would start on Sunday with regular rest. Randy Johnson, if it goes to game 5, with regular rest on Monday. However, the Cardinals are helped also because Matt Morris, who's 15-2 in this ballpark this year, would be the starter for the Cardinals on Sunday.
You've never known a weather report to be wrong.
No, of course not.
That being said, Mark McGwire is not in the lineup tonight. That's the question around here. Is he in? Is he out? He is out. Tony La Russa feels that this lineup is better and he can do more things with Paquette in there.
I think Tony is right. However, I agree with Kevin Kennedy. I think from an emotional standpoint, McGwire in front of the hometown in a ballpark where he hit number 62 in 1998 would be a big emotional force for the Cardinals tonight.
So away we go. We will now send it down to the field before game 3, the Diamondbacks and Cardinals. Here's public address announcer John Hewlett.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Missouri Task Force 1 unfurls the American flag, please rise for our national anthem. We ask everyone to remove their caps. Performing tonight's anthem is an active duty enlisted professional musician from the United States Air Force Band of Mid-America, Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, Senior Airman Mary Beth Benham. Mary Beth is flanked by our great national symbol, 2 bald eagles from the World Bird Sanctuary, Patriot to her right and Mayaka to her left.
What so proudly we hailed at the
twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This one's for you.
It is cool, borderline cold. Tim, you are our new resident meteorologist. So tell us, what do you think the temperature is? I'm saying low 60.
I'd say, yeah,
60?
high 50s, low
High
60s.
50s.
Yeah, very comfortable.
It is comfortable. We're wearing a coat, and this crowd is packed in and ready to go. Darryl Kile is just now making his way out of the bullpen. You see him walking in toward the playing field, so we are still a little ways away from the start of this game. Tony La Russa and Bob Brenly talking it over. It's been an interesting year, Tim McCarver, for Tony La Russa, something that you and I talked about the final weekend of the regular season. Tony La Russa is a guy who came in, and while there were other managers between La Russa and Herzog, Joe Torre, one of those managers, Tony La Russa, since he got here, has been compared to Whitey Herzog, and those days are gone. Tony La Russa now has guided his team into the postseason for the third time in the 6 years that he has been here. And I think on a local level, because he's a guy who lives in California during the offseason, he is regarded as an American League style manager. Whitey ball is gone. It's no longer a carpet here. It's no longer get him on and let him run and try to knock him home with a ground ball. People don't give him the credit that he deserves, but on a larger level, on a national level, this guy's one of the best managers ever, 11th on the all-time win list.
The third time, as you mentioned, Joe, that Tony La Russa's Cardinals in his 6 years here have played in postseason. And the 8th time in 18 years, Tony took the Oakland Athletics to the World Series 3 times, to the League Championship Series once, and they went to the League Championship Series in '96 with the Cardinals, 2000, and trying to do it once again this year.
So this series is tied at a game apiece, and meanwhile there's our buddy Bob Brenly. I know the two guys that were in the booth for this series on Fox Family prior to us, Tom Brenneman, who was a longtime broadcast partner of Bob Brenly, and Steve Lyons. We were all a part of the Fox family last year, and the Arizona Diamondbacks have a wonderful person guiding this Diamondbacks team. And when you look at this team, there are some holes on this club. I think he's done a very good job to get them to the top of the division in the National League's West.
I do too, and if you folks were looking for a three-man booth, forget it. They're all managing somewhere.
That's right. But Brenly's wearing a microphone, and he'll join us at some point, even though he won't know it. Here is tonight's starting lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks, brought to you by Budweiser. They lead it off with Tony Womack, their shortstop. Craig Counsell bats second at second. That's a change as they move him up and Finley down. Luis Gonzalez hitting third in left field with Danny Bautista in right. Mark Grace, hitting .417 in his career in the postseason, is batting fifth at first. Matt Williams, booed back at home in Arizona. He's at third base, batting sixth. Steve Finley in center, Damian Miller the catcher, and Miguel Batista the right-hander pitching and batting ninth as you look at 16-game winner Darryl Kile.
Darryl Kile has had a revival of a career. You may remember 5 years ago when he won 20 games for the Houston Astros, signed a big free agent contract with the Colorado Rockies. Did not do well, and that is an understatement, in his 2 years with Colorado. However, a renaissance of sorts over the last 2 years, the 16-game winning season this year, and he won 21 last year.
Defensively behind Darryl Kile, the Cardinals during the regular season were 10th in the National League in fielding percentage, committed 110 errors. That guy right there is tremendous. Fernando Vina. Jim Edmonds, one of the best center fielders in the game. In my mind, he and Andrew Jones are the two best. And joining them, Paquette in left, Drew in right, Pujols in first tonight, McGuire on the bench, and here's the scouting report for Darryl Kile.
We used to refer to it when we were kids as the drop. Well, Darryl Kile has the drop. That's that classic 12-6 curveball. And his success with the Cardinals has depended on controlling the curveball and an occasional splitter. He is not a hard thrower, but a heavy thrower. Throws a heavy fastball.
Here is Tony Womack first up. A .266 hitter during the regular season. So far 1 for 6 in this divisional series. But when you look at the offensive numbers, they are remarkably low after the first 2 games out in Arizona. Womack is up on the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Womack, then Counsell, then Gonzalez. Cardinal infielders in on the corners expecting a bunt.
I would think Womack would be taking here.
And it's 3-0.
He could take 2 pitches. And we talked about the control of Darryl Kile. High to Womack with all 3 fastballs.
Kile, who started out the season very strong, bothered by a sore elbow, a sore shoulder down the stretch, and he was largely ineffective. 3 and 4 in his last 8 starts, and he made that Sunday start here against Houston, a battle for home field advantage in the playoffs, and he gave up 7 runs in a 9-2 loss. Here's a 3-1. That's not close, and that's a leadoff walk. So a good start for Arizona as Womack is on to begin the night. Craig Counsell will walk to the plate. Bob Brenly talking to us before the game, talking about this switch. He said, you know what the heck, we're going to put Counsell in the number 2 spot regardless of the left-handers lining up, and they do it either way, even if Finley's hitting in the number 2 position. But they like the way Counsell handles the bat better in this number 2 spot. He's hit well against left-handed pitching, which is something for later in the game. And he bats here against Kile, and we'll see how the Diamondbacks want to play it with Womack and Counsell. Womack running, throw by Matheny. He is so good. 1 out.
Now I'll tell you why that's a bad play. When a pitcher walks the leadoff batter, you don't try to steal until you know the pitcher is showing that he can throw strikes. Otherwise, you lift him out of the hole that he created for himself. And you're right, Matheny, right on the money.
And an 0-1 count as the pitch was called a strike. 45.5% this season. That's a strike, and an automatic lift for Darryl Kile provided by the running game of the Diamondbacks. 0-2. Luis Gonzalez will follow. One ball, 2 strikes. We talk about Mike Matheny, a guy who last year at this time was just sitting and watching his teammates after that accident with a hunting knife, a present that he got. He opened it home and sliced right through the sheath and right through his thumb. And he was unavailable as Counsell strikes out. That makes it 2 out, nobody on with Gonzalez coming up, and there's that good Darryl Kile curveball.
That's the drop we were talking about. 12-6. This is nasty. Watch where it starts and watch where it ends up. Off the table.
So with 2 out, nobody on, it's Luis Gonzalez. 6 out of 30 in his career in the postseason. with 3 home runs, but that's in the past. Right now, he is 0 for 8. Easily the Diamondbacks' most valuable position player as he takes a ball. So far, Williams and Gonzalez are combined 0 for 15. Here's a 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Gonzalez with 57 home runs during the regular season. Quite a jump from his previous career high of 31. You know what he's thinking about trying to do on 2-0, trying to lift one out of here, and that's on the inside corner for strike 1.
And he had a pitch to do it, Joe. That fastball on the inside. Hitters look for that pitch, but Kyle jerked that fastball on it.
Here's a 2-1. Hard hit, but just foul. And it's 2-2.
Yeah, when you talk about Gonzalez, he is the ultimate late bloomer. And what a bloomer he has been for the D-backs. Mercy, what a year.
A lot of good things have come to a very good guy, Luis Gonzalez. Here's a 2-2. Curveball, and that ends the inning. A walk, a man out stealing, and back-to-back strikeouts, and now the Cardinals come to bat. St. Louis happy with Kyle on the mound tonight. Now it's Miguel Batista for Arizona. Welcome back to Busch Stadium. They have been playing baseball in this park since 1966. Miguel Batista really had a good year for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here's tonight's starting lineup for the Cardinals, brought to you by Budweiser. Fernando Vina will lead it off. Then it's Placido Polanco batting second. J.D. Drew hits third. Albert Pujols at first base. Jim Edmonds in center. Craig Paquette in left. Edgar Renteria, Mike Matheny, and Darryl Kyle pitching and batting ninth.
How many times, as you look at the numbers during the regular season for Miguel Batista, how many times do you see a pitcher finish a game and after an off day start a game in the playoffs? Not too often, but that's what happened to Batista on Wednesday night. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, finished the game, lost by the Diamondbacks 4-1 to the Cardinals. Behind Woody Williams in a fine performance. And here he is a starter tonight.
Yeah, but that's really been his season.
Yeah, right.
Whatever Bob Brenly and the Diamondbacks need, he has been willing to give. You look at the defense for the Arizona Diamondbacks, the #1 defense in the league, committing only 84 errors. So they back up that solid pitching. Extremely solid with their 1-2 starters with this group. Gonzalez, Finley, Bautista in the outfield. And they will try to chase him down as Miguel Batista lets him go on the mound.
What we mean on that first point, surprising stuff for a spot starter. His stuff is so good that you may be thinking, well, why isn't he in the regular rotation? Well, Bob Brenly flip-flops him in and out of the bullpen for maximum use. Hard-breaking slider. Control a factor.
And ball 1 up and away to Fernando Vina. So here's Batista making his first career postseason start. The guy who originally came up with Pittsburgh in '92 was with the Marlins in '96, Cubs in '97. There's a strike to Vina. Montreal for '98, '99, half of 2000. Then he went to Kansas City. And in his first year with Arizona, he gets the ball after Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson pitched the first 2 games of the division series. Really good down the stretch for Arizona. Base hit. Vina's second of this series.
The Cardinals run 5 300 hitters at the opposition. First 5 spots in the order. Good on base percentage, good run scoring percentage. They can drive them in and score runs.
Miguel Batista for Bob Brenly down the stretch allowed only 2 earned runs in 19 innings pitched. His last 3 starts had an ERA of 0.95. So somewhat of a surprise selection to have Batista in there as the #3 guy in place of Albie Lopez, who is on hold right now. If the Diamondbacks win, Lopez pitches tomorrow. If the Diamondbacks lose, Schilling works tomorrow.
I wonder if Tony La Russa is thinking about bunting in this situation because the first 2 games have been such low-scoring affairs.
He also likes to hit and run with his combination as Pena draws a throw. Polanco now with Drew and Pujols to follow.
Yeah, rarely do you bunt in the first inning, thinking that you don't play for 1 run early, but 1 run usually managers will play for in the middle of the game to the latter part of the game.
And looking for Vina to take off. The Diamondbacks pitch out. Ball 1.
Bob Brenly, an ex-catcher and an ex-partner of Joe Buck's, thinking right along with his ex-broadcasting partner.
He's got half of the apparatus needed to be a broadcaster. He's got the mic. He just can't hear us, although I'm not sure that he listened to us in years past anyway.
No.
Polanco takes a good breaking ball for a strike, and it's 1-1. Here's Jose Oquendo, the third base coach. Like the little angel popping up in the middle of these two, giving the signs to Vina and to Polanco at the plate. And they're paying a lot of attention to Fernando Vina, who stole 17 bases during the regular season. Tony La Russa will tell you Fernando thinks he's a lot faster than he really is. But he does set up this offense extremely well at the top of the Cardinal lineup. Here's a 1-1. That's into center. Finley is there. And it's 1-on-1 out.
Often when managers get a base runner on, like Vina, who thinks he's faster than he is, you might think of employing an ex-rodeo hand like Larry Mahan as your first base coach. Give him a lasso, and when he rounds the bag, rope him. Drag him back to first.
Stay here.
Right.
So Miguel Batista, who is a fan of Albert Einstein's.
That's right.
He's a poet. Batista. A deep thinker. Bends a breaking ball up and away to J.D. Drew, ball 1. Drew hit 27 home runs during the regular season. Did not play in game 2 against Randy Johnson. He's 0 for 4 in this series. And Batista has been deliberate here in the first inning. On 1-0. See Miller call for a fastball in, and Batista missed with it up and away. 2-0.
Batista carries a picture of Albert Einstein around to put in his locker. Even the catchers are giving his signs are E equals MC squared for a fastball. That's a deep thinker, man.
That is a deep thinker. Drew off the glove of Counsell. They'll get 1. That's it. And it's 1 on with 2 out. Hard hit right at Craig Counsell. The force out 4-6, and the inning will continue for Albert Pujols.
The Cardinals have hit 3 balls right on the button. Vina with the single, and then Polanco hit it hard to center field. And this ball is hit hard, backhanded off the heel of the glove by Counsell. And Craig makes a nice recovery to get the force.
You see Womack, who made 22 errors during the regular season, make a lot of unnecessary throws, and that was one of them. Drew with good speed, not a terrific base stealer at first as Pujols waits, who has had a terrific season. The numbers are staggering for this rookie who played A ball last year. The cleanup hitter, the team with the best record in the National League at 93 and 69. A .329 average with 130 RBIs. 0-2. So where do his numbers rank among Major League rookies this season? First in home runs, first in RBIs, first in on base percentage, slugging percentage, and walks. Here's an 0-2. Nicely saved by Miller, ball one.
The impressive thing about Albert Pujols is the second half of the season. He was better in the second half than he was in the first half, and that is very unusual for a rookie, because usually once you go through the league one time, about the middle of June, the pitchers find out a lot about you, and Pujols found out as much about the pitchers as they found out about him. He adjusted very, very well.
Here's a 1-2. To the left side. Good play by Matt Williams, and the inning is over. Matt Williams ranging to his left. The force out 5-4, and we are through one inning in St. Louis. Diamondbacks and Cardinals, no score.
Presented by Budweiser is brought to you by Budweiser with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you by the Intel Pentium 4 processor, the center of your digital world, and by Nissan. Nissan introduces the totally new V6 Ultima, the cure for the common car.
We are ready for action. Second inning, and Danny Bautista, who's in the lineup tonight in place of Reggie Sanders, who had a big year for Arizona with his 33 home runs. Bit of a surprise that Bautista is in there tonight, according to Bob Brenly. Every time he gets a chance to start, play, he usually does something exciting, something to help the Diamondbacks win, whether it's making a good catch, making a good throw, getting a big hit. He drove in a run in game 2. It made it 3-1 game at the time. It ended 4-1. The Cardinals winning to even the series, coming back here to St. Louis. There's a strike and a moving pitch to Bautista, who hit 302 to be exact during the regular season. Breaking ball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And if you're going to think about making a move with an outfielder for the Diamondbacks, right field is the only position in which you're flexible. Steve Finley, the regular center fielder. Everybody knows what kind of year Luis Gonzalez had, so to get Bautista in there, he has to spell Reggie Sanders.
Still, you've got 33 home runs sitting on the bench.
Yes, sir. Right.
On 1-2. Got him on the inside corner, and Kyle got the benefit of the doubt on that pitch. Bautista becomes the 3rd consecutive strikeout victim for Darryl Kyle.
That was a great sequence. Kyle hitting with the fastball and then 2 curveballs, and now the fastball on the inside corner. I think you give an assist to Mike Matheny there. Receiving the ball very softly. Matheny not only helps the pitchers with his arm, but helps them with his hands too.
Here's a guy that was involved in a lot of exciting baseball in this ballpark. Mark Grace in his days with the Cubs. All those Cub-Cardinal games and that great rivalry. So he is used to seeing this place packed. A lot of red. Well, usually when the Cubs are here, I would say about 30 to 40% of the shirts and jackets and hats are blue for the Cubs. Here's a 1-1 from Kyle. 1-2.
Nice article about Mark in the Chicago Tribune today, in the front page of the sports section, about how Mark is cutting his ties with the Chicago area since he's now with the Diamondbacks. He and his fiancee Tanya living in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Hugely popular in Chicago on the north side.
Paradise Valley.
Paradise Valley,
Does
Arizona.
that sound nice or what?
It does. Sounds like Eden.
Maybe we'll visit there. That's strikeout number 4. Bautista had something to complain about. I don't think Grace has much to say about that pitch.
Again, Matheny, soft hands. A tailing fastball, arms up. 4 straight strikeouts for Darryl Kyle. Nobody's put the ball in play yet. A walk, caught stealing, 4 straight strikeouts.
Grace is still barking at the home plate umpire, Mike Winters, as Matt Williams, who was barked at by his home crowd, steps to the plate. 0 for 7. So far in this series, he has committed an error. Awfully hot on the cool night. Woo. Big breaking ball for a strike to Williams. Came up in '87 with the Giants. Teammate of Bob Brenly's back then. Now that's his manager. Mike Winters got tired of calling strikes, so it's 1-1. Two out, nobody on. Matt Williams, a much better hitter on the road this season compared to his numbers at Bank One Ballpark. That's strike two.
Williams batting .295 on the road, only .259 at Bank One Ballpark. And booed, as you said, Joe, lustily in the first two games of the playoffs. However, Luis Gonzalez enters the game 0 for 8 and Williams 0 for 7.
Kyle looking for his 5th in a row, and he gets it. Darryl Kyle gets a standing ovation as he exits the field as he has struck out 5 consecutive hitters. He dropped down sidearm on that one. No score, bottom of the second. The second, no score, and Miguel Batista back to the hill. It'll be Jim Edmonds, Craig Paquette, and Edgar Renteria. If anybody gets on, Mike Matheny, the number 8 hitter, against this right-hander. Spent that time with Montreal, and the Cardinals became very aware of Batista. They share their spring training facility with the Expos down in Jupiter, Florida. So, because there aren't a ton of teams left on that side of the state in that area, the Cardinals end up playing a lot of games against Montreal. They've seen Batista plenty. 2-0 the count.
New York Mets are about an hour north of there. The Yankees used to train in Fort Lauderdale. Now they train in Tampa at Legends Field.
Edmonds skies one to left. And Luis Gonzalez, who did not commit an error during the regular season, puts it away, 1 out. They've got the Dodgers about an hour and 40 minutes up by 95. You got the Orioles down I-95, and then that's about it in the immediate area. So the Cardinals have seen Batista, and on the other side, Batista's seen plenty of this group as Craig Paquette stands in. Usually during spring training, Paquette's getting a lot of at-bats, trying to prove himself again, and he has certainly proven himself to be a valuable member of this Cardinal team. He was a clutch hitter for Tony La Russa and hit .282 with 15 home runs during the regular season.
64 RBIs with a little more than 350 plate appearances. Terrific production. That few at-bats.
1 ball, 1 strike. There have been a total of 6 runs scored in this series. There have been no stolen bases, only 1 attempt, and that was by Womack at the top of the first, and he was thrown out. This has been a pitching dominated series, whether it's been Curt Schilling and Matt Morris, or it's been Randy Johnson and Woody Williams, with Steve Kline finishing. Now tonight it's Miguel Batista and Darryl Kyle. Here's a 1-2. 2-2. Well, what do you think? We were in New York last night watching the Yankees, and you cannot help but come away from that series watching Mulder and Hudson with the prospects of Zito pitching tomorrow in Game 3, not just being floored by that young pitching by Oakland.
Well, I should say, not only were we floored, but players on both sides so impressed with the performance of Tim Hudson last night. Several Cardinals talking to us, telling us, wow, what movement, what location.
I don't know that a lot of players, especially in the National League, know much about Tim Hudson.
No.
Haven't seen him much, but everybody will know a lot more here shortly with the way he's pitching. That ball will just get out of play, and a break for Paquette. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. They also like Corey Lytle, who's their number 4 starter, while the Yankees will turn to Mike Mussina, trying to at least let that series get to 4 games. the hope of getting it back to Yankee Stadium on Monday night, but those chances are slim. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on, and Paquette strikes out. First strikeout for Batista. Coming up tomorrow, more baseball across the Fox networks on Fox Family. We'll be here for Game 4 at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Then on the Fox networks, Seattle to Cleveland at 4 Eastern, and the Yankees at Oakland at 7:30 Eastern. That'll be Game 3 with the A's up 2-0, and that's an easy one-hopper to a 4-time Gold Glove Award winner. Matt Williams takes care of Renteria. And here we go again, say the fans and the players in this series. 4 good pitching. 3rd inning now, no score. Darryl Kyle, Tim McCarver, has 5 consecutive strikeouts, and that sets a National League Division Series record.
And he did it in different ways. The curveball for the first 2, the inside fastball, and the sidearm curveball.
Now Kyle will work to the bottom 3 in the Arizona lineup. Finley, Miller, and the pitcher Batista. Postseason record for strikeouts consecutively is 6. 3 pitchers hold that during World Series play.
Joe, we've been keeping track of, I know him, number 45, Gibby. Just Gibby here. Bob Gibson, the great right-hander for so many years here. None of the Diamondbacks have touched a Kyle curveball yet. They've swung through every one or taken it.
Steve Finley now. It really caught Tony La Russa by surprise when he looked at the lineup card tonight prior to the game and saw Finley down at the bottom part of the lineup, mainly because Finley is a .362 hitter in his career against Darryl Kyle with 3 home runs. So the Diamondbacks definitely have a weapon down in the number 7 spot. 2-1.
It's an odd way of protecting a guy like Finley, because as Bob was explaining it to us, Counsell hits left-handers better. That's why he's sandwiched in between Womack and Gonzalez in case Tony La Russa would bring in a left-hander late in the game. You alluded to it earlier.
Finley hits it hard, but right at Drew. 1 out.
Then Counsell would stay in the game. If Finley were batting second and bring the left-hander in, perhaps he would have pinch hit for Steve Finley.
There's Damian Miller, the Arizona catcher. Miller, .271 hitter during the regular season, 13 home runs and 47 RBIs. One of the better defensive catchers in the league, and he has worked very well with this rotation and bullpen, the ever-changing bullpen for the Diamondbacks, anchored by Byung-Hun Kim, their closer. Here comes a 1-0 pitch. Base hit. Damian Miller is on, and that will give Batista a chance to bunt here in the 3rd inning if the Diamondbacks play it that way.
Happy birthday, Damian. In 4 hours, Damian Miller will be 32 years old from La Crosse, Wisconsin. La Crosse, Wisconsin, you're more apt to find a guy like Dan Jansen as an athlete up there than Damian Miller. Not too many major league players coming out of Wisconsin.
So Miller is on. He will sharpen his skates and try to move down to second base if Batista can put down a good bunt. Miguel swinging it was 2 out of 32 at the plate this season. That was defensive. Strike 1.
Bunt it before it hits you. Squaring around. This is what Casey Stengel used to try to encourage all his pitchers to do. In a bunting situation, throw it up and in. Put some fear in a hitter, and there is more fear when you're squaring around and looking at a pitcher. It looks like Batista's upset there.
It's a little ticked.
Yeah, he does. But I mean, that's just good hard baseball. An up and in fastball in a bunting situation.
Polanco is so close at third base. Even closer now, and Kyle steps off. Cardinals are just daring the Arizona Diamondbacks to switch and allow Bautista to swing the bat.
Most pitchers do not have good bat control. Obviously, if Bautista bunts the ball, you should bunt it toward first base.
Breaking ball now, and it is a good bunt. Pujols his throw to first. Good work by Bautista. The sacrifice is perfect, 3-4. And he did control the bat. He did bunt it toward first, and it's a runner at second, 2 out.
Easiest pitch to bunt. The slower the pitch, the easier it is to bunt. I question the curveball call there. Just knocked the bat out of Bautista's hand, and he fouled it off, and then threw a little lollipop up there, and a good job of bunting by Bautista.
So here's Tony Womack, who drew a walk, a 5-pitch walk back in the first inning. Then on the first pitch to Craig Counsell, tried to steal second. And Matheny, who is over 45% throwing out base stealers this season, cut him down. Now Womack could put Arizona on top, and a breaking ball misses, ball 1. Tony Womack drove in 30 during the regular season.
J.D. Drew very deep in right field. Womack does not have a lot of power, only 3 home runs on the year, more of a slap hitter. That's 3 home runs in 500 plate appearances.
Now it's 2-0 with Counsell on deck. Craig Counsell would make a great model for one of those Little League Baseball trophies with that batting stance. Here's a 2-0. 2-1.
.20 curveball to the leadoff batter, and a good one. You throw 3 straight curveballs, and you have anybody set up for a fastball.
Kyle taking a moment between pitches. A 1-out hit by Miller. Good bunt by Bautista. And now a 2-1 pitch to Womack. Too far inside. 3-1. Go ahead run at second. Womack walks for the second time tonight. And now it's up to Craig Counsell. Has been in postseason baseball before and was a part of the Marlins World Championship with a guy playing shortstop for St. Louis right now, Edgar Renteria, back in 1997.
Edgar driving in Craig Counsell for the winning run in Game 7, 11th inning. And the Florida Marlins winning their only world championship.
Counsell holds it high and takes ball 1.
I guess it's outdated, but Craig would be a good paper hanger. Reaching for the ceiling. It is a very odd stance. And he curls the bat. He does not have a lot of power. Usually power hitters are the only ones that hold the bat that way, as Craig does.
Up the middle, Kyle takes it in and gets rid of it. Inning over, a hit, a walk, 2 left. Diamondbacks strand their first 2. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Matheny, Kyle, Vina coming up. No score in St. Louis. Fox NFL Sunday begins with America's #1 pregame show as JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris get you ready for kickoff this Sunday. Then Jesse Armstead and the Giants try to stop Marshall Faulk and the Rams offense. Our other regional action coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Giants and Rams, a good primary game on Sunday. Down the street at the Dome as Matheny takes a pitch up and in. Giants and Rams Sunday that means that America's best football broadcast team, Pat Summerall and John Madden, are in town. So they're in St. Louis talking about X's and O's and zone blitzes and Marshall Faulk picking up the blitz while we're down the street doing a baseball game. And if they want to join us at the ballpark tomorrow, we would love to have them here in the booth. That's a strike from Batista. 2 balls and a strike on Matheny.
Both Pat and John, big baseball fans, as we are football fans. I say fans, of course you do football, but I don't. And
you played football?
I'm a fan. Yeah, I played in the minor leagues, right, in high school. But that doesn't count. A lot of people played in high school.
But you were good. A lot of people didn't get interest from Notre Dame. There's a kicker, among other positions. Darryl Kile walks to the plate. 9 out of 71 at the plate this season with 1 home run and 4 RBIs. Look back on this season, Tim, as we just begin the postseason march through the rest of October and into November. And what a season it was. I mean, how many records fell this season in both leagues, individual and team?
The most glamorous, for obvious reasons, Barry Bonds, 73 home runs.
Everything that Ichiro did and the Mariners with their 116 wins. Rickey Henderson, who gets virtually no publicity these days for what he is accomplishing and what he did accomplish with joining the 3,000 hit club, and he's the all-time run scoring leader in Major League Baseball history. Took over the walks #1 spot. I mean, his season and his career, I need to mention the stolen bases and what he did as an overall package as a leadoff hitter, playing for a handful of years for Tony La Russa. The game's best ever players and arguably the best leadoff hitter ever. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out, nobody on.
Guy who played the game hard, slid hands first, stayed away from injuries.
Second strikeout for Batista, and Miguel is matching the guy he just struck out pitch for pitch.
Joe, we used a statistic on Barry Bonds last Saturday that I think is worth repeating. Since the live ball era started, with Barry Bonds 73 home runs. Live ball era, the definitive year was 1920. That's when Babe Ruth started to play for the Yankees. 87.4% of the players since 1920 didn't have 73 home runs for their careers. That to me is mind-boggling.
Amazing.
And Bonds does it in 1 year.
567 in his career, making his way up that list. The way he swung the bat this season, you know, barring injury, with the kind of shape that he's in, it might be a stretch, it might be a reach, but you know, there's some chance that he could get into Hank Aaron's neighborhood. As Vina fouls it away, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Certainly Willie Mays with 660 home runs lifetime. Mays third behind Aaron and Ruth. Big Mac.
On the bench, at least at the start of this game. Certainly there if needed, but it's Paquette in the lineup tonight instead of Mark McGwire. 1-2 pitch up the middle, Counsell to his right. Strong arm, and the inning is over. Another record that fell, an 81-year-old record, is Bonds slugged .863. 4th inning now, no score.
Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, is brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Busch Stadium, heart of the order for Arizona, 4th inning. Luis Gonzalez, Danny Bautista, and Mark Grace The 3 tests for Darryl Kyle, who has struck out 5, walked 2, allowed 1 hit. Diamondbacks have lost. Womack trying to steal, left a couple on. And so now we get toward the middle section of the game, and Gonzalez, who is hitless in this series, takes ball 1. Gonzalez 0 for 9. Here's a 1-0 from Darryl Kyle. Off the end of the bat, 1 ball, 1 strike. Kyle was a 20-game winner last year. He is 36-20 with a 3.5 ERA with the Cardinals after 2 years in Colorado, where he was 21-30 with an ERA of 6. Dave Duncan, his pitching coach, you think of what he's done with Darryl Kyle, how Woody Williams has just taken off since putting on that Cardinal uniform. And then you look in the other dugout as Gonzalez pops it up, and that's easy for Edmonds. 1 out. You look, Tim McCarver, at the pitching coach for Arizona, Bob Welch, who studied under Dave Duncan with those big years with the Oakland Athletics, in particular that 1990 season when he went 27-6. And I will guarantee you there's some things that Welch learned from Dave Duncan during those years that he has passed on to this Arizona pitching staff.
Yeah, you think about Dave Duncan and what he has done throughout his career over the last 15 years. In 1986, he took Dave Stewart, who was released by the Philadelphia Phillies, and made him into one of the premier pitchers for the next 6 years. Dennis Eckersley. He and Tony La Russa talked the Eck into going to the bullpen. 400 saves later, Eckersley will be going into the Hall of Fame. One of the more remarkable careers in the history of the game. A guy with over 260 starts and over 400 saves.
Here's the 1-1 to Batista. Foul tip for strike 2. Dave Duncan has worked with 6 Cy Young Award pitchers during his career as a pitching coach. Didn't look like it hit the bat to me.
Nor I.
Batista didn't say anything. So here comes a 1-2 pitch from Kyle. 2-2.
But you're right, Bob Welch did pick up something from Dave Duncan. Dave, a former catcher.
Now a 2-2 pitch from Kyle to Batista, who struck out his first time. Renteria. 2 out. Let's give you our Radio Shack trivia question. Tony La Russa has managed 3 different teams in the postseason. Which manager has appeared in the postseason with the most teams? Good question. You could ask kind of an offshoot of that question about Tony La Russa. One of 2 managers to have 500 or more wins with 3 different clubs. Who's the other? DeRocher. La Russa doing it with the White Sox, the A's, and the Cardinals. DeRocher with the Cubs, Dodgers, Giants. Ball 1 to Grace as he checked his swing. 2-0. Are we entertaining ourselves up here right now while the pitching dominates?
Hey, pitching can put crowds to sleep. It's the great anesthetizer of crowds.
You worked with some terrific anesthesiologists during your career as a catcher, whether it's Carlton, Gibson, or long list.
One of the great performances in the history of the game in this ballpark. 1968, 17 strikeouts by Bob Gibson against the Detroit Tigers. Gibby.
Or Hoot.
Or Hoot. Or a lot of other things if you're facing him.
Big breaking ball on 3-1, and Grace is on with a 2-out walk.
Third baseman, Matt Williams.
Tim brings it up. We show it to you. Number 15 was behind the plate receiving these pitches. Why don't you talk about it?
Now those 2 strikeouts right there, getting Norm Cash, and watch this pitch to Willie Horton. We're going to try to bring that back to you. I still hear Willie Horton going, ugh! He thought the ball hit him, but the slider broke so much it was at him and then over the inside part of the plate. The ball must have broken a foot and a half. That was Gibson on that memorable afternoon in 1968, October afternoon.
Here's Matt Williams, and there's a foul on a breaking ball.
Look how far this pitch was inside, and you can well imagine Horton going, ugh! You would have too.
And you just popped up and ran out there.
I was just happy to catch it.
0-1 the count with a go-ahead run at first and 2 out. Matt Williams struck out his first time at the end of a string of 5 consecutive strikeouts for Darryl Kile. Drops down as he did to get Williams on the strikeout his first time, and the count 1-1. So far in the division series across baseball, the road team has won 6 of 9 games played. 6 of 8 until today. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. Up and down all season, but in the postseason they know what to do. They lost 3 in a row to these Cardinals last year in the division series, but when you walk into a series with Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Burkett, terrific again today, and you have Smoltz closing the game, well, you got a chance. And they rolled right through the Astros.
And the Atlanta Braves will have the home field advantage if the Cardinals beat the Diamondbacks. If the Diamondbacks win 2 out of the next 3 games, then Atlanta opens in Phoenix.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Williams. Fastball misses 2-2. You want to look at it tournament style. Oakland and the Yankees top left. Oakland up 2-0. Cleveland and Seattle. That series will start back in Cleveland tomorrow, tied at 1. This series. And then the Atlanta Braves. Williams floats it foul down the right side. The count stays 2-2. 3 and out for the Atlanta Braves over the Houston Astros. And to be fair, you know, everybody's talking about Larry Dierker and his job, and well, now he's probably going to get fired. You lose the pitching that they lost down the stretch, not having Oswalt, losing Carlos Hernandez, losing Pedro Estacio. It's hard to win when you lose that kind of quality pitching. That's off the end of the bat. The count stays 2-2.
Bobby Cox, on the other hand, continues to win year after year after year. 10 consecutive divisions. And 3-0 against the Astros, and 12-1 in the 4 years that they have faced the Houston Astros in the divisional series.
Here's a 2-2. Williams just gets a piece, fights it off, stays alive. Count stays 2-2. And the Astros still haven't won a postseason series.
They lost in 1980, 1986, 2 times in the 90s, and 2 times 2000 and 2001.
2 balls, 2 strikes, runner at first, 2 out.
Revise that.
3-2.
Excuse me, Joe. 3 times in the 90s and once this year, as the Astros had all sorts of problems last year.
Winning their division in 97, 98, 99. A terrific start to the managerial career of Larry Dierker, winning his first 3 years. And they won the division this season, same record as the Cardinals. And the tiebreaker advantage, they open at home with Atlanta, and that was not an advantage. Runner will go at first. That's Grace. 3-2 pitch, breaking ball for ball 4, and that's 4 walks. Back-to-back walks here with 2 out in the 4th inning. Now with 2 on, 2 out. Finley coming up. Here's Jeannie Zelasco with a game break.
Well, Joe, the triumphant return, the reinvention of John Smoltz, the closer with 3 saves in the divisional series, helped send the Braves to their 9th NLCS in 10 years, where they will face, well, we're still waiting. Follow the entire tourney exclusively on Fox Networks.
All right, Jeannie. Well, with 2 on, 2 out, here is Steve Finley, and here's a perfect spot for Bob Brenly and the Diamondbacks. They have Finley hitting in the number 7 spot. He lined out to right his first time, and he hammers Kyle. Strike 1. People make such a big deal about the lineup and the batting order. Don't know where it's going to stop or end, or where guys are going to come up with a chance to drive home some runs, and this is a perfect opportunity for Arizona. 2 on, 2 out. Finley way out in front, and it's 0-2.
Good curveball by Kyle, cued by Finley. Steve in the hole.
And now Matheny is going to go out and talk to Kyle. There are the numbers that we talked about earlier, and that's why this is a spot that Bob Brenly is happy to see Finley step to the plate against Darryl Kyle.
If you have a good curveball and it's a slow curveball, 2 strikes is perhaps the worst time to throw it. And the reason for that, a veteran hitter tries to protect the plate, and the slower the pitch, the easier it is to make contact. That's why 0-2 and 1-2 is the best time to pitch inside to a hitter with that tailing fastball. We'll see how Kyle and Matheny work Finley here, way ahead of him.
Well, however they've worked him in the past, they better figure out a different way. Bob Brenly and the Diamondbacks with a chance to grab a 4th inning lead. Fastball and a foul ball.
Up and away. You could see Matheny jumping up out of his crouch and giving the high target. Let her high, and Finley fouls it back.
Back-to-back walks with 2 out. Grace, then Williams. Now the 0-2 again. Up the middle, base hit. Here comes Grace. Throw by Edmonds. He's got a good arm, and Grace is gone. Inning over. They had the right guy up. They got the base hit, but Finley hit it to the wrong guy. Still no score, bottom of the 4th. Thanks to the Cardinal defense behind Darryl Kyle, and Polanco leads off, the number 2 hitter. Drew and Pujols next to the plate. Ball 1 as he showed bunt. Something Polanco doesn't do very often is drop him down. A guy who hit .307 during the regular season, and so far 2 out of 8 in this series. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fine play by Jim Edmonds. And Joe, you brought up a very good point between innings, saying that one of the reasons that Jim Edmonds can make a play like this and get a runner, a veteran runner, not a speedy runner, but Grace with fair speed, getting by 5 strides, is he plays so shallow in center field.
Here's a 1-1. 2 balls and a strike.
Takes away the cheap hits, and yet he can work against the fence also. 3-time Gold Glove winner, Jim Edmonds.
His defense has already played a prominent role in this series as Polanco starts it with a hit. So the Cardinals try to take that play by Edmonds and turn it into a little momentum, get the leadoff man on. And we look back through this series and go back to game 1. Edmonds with a leap. Not sure he had to, but he ended up on his backside, frustrating Gonzalez. he had to do this, and there's nobody better in my mind at coming in and diving for a ball than Jim Edmonds. And here is Drew digging in. With a runner at first and nobody out, J.D. bounced into a force out his first time up. Kyle has been helped, Tim, with play of Matheny as well, blocking off the plate, and of course taking care of Womack, catching him trying to steal back in the first inning.
Yeah, that battery had a boost from Jim Edmonds to end the fourth inning.
A 1-0 to Drew. Let's restate what we talked about at the start of the night. If the Arizona Diamondbacks win here tonight, they will start Albie Lopez in a daylight game tomorrow, 1 Eastern, 12 here locally. If they lose, Bob Brenly will push Curt Schilling up to pitch on short rest, 3 days rest, in Game 4 tomorrow. That would mean that in Game 5, which is scheduled for Sunday evening out in Arizona, Randy Johnson then. The Diamondbacks with a lose tonight, win tomorrow, and force Game 5. Johnson would work on short rest. Back in Arizona, runner goes, Drew comes up empty, and Miller can't get rid of the ball. Stolen base for Polanco.
Usually when a catcher does that, the ring finger is involved. He did not have a grip and realized that if he threw it, the ball would squirt out of his hand instead of being thrown out of his hand. Coupled with the fact that J.D. Drew, with his swing, it carried him over the plate. But I think the big reason that Damian did not make that throw was that he had 3 fingers on the ball.
Now Drew with a runner at second and nobody out. Best scoring chance of the night. Drops one down. Third base side. The play by Batista out. Over to third is Polanco with Pujols coming up. So Drew advances the runner. Some would say that's not a good play. I'll ask you, Tim McCarver, is that a good play? It looked like it almost hit him.
It did.
In the box.
It looked like a cut fastball that came in on him. It's not as bad a play because it's the 4th inning and the game is tied. A talent like J.D. Drew hitting third, however, I think if you're Tony La Russa, you'd rather see him swing to try to get the runner to third base instead of running him over and giving himself up.
Tony La Russa kind of absolves himself from that situation. They have a sign, get him over. You can do it however you want, get him over. Runner at third, 1 out. Pujols hits it foul down the right side, which some like and some don't. I think a player in that situation would rather be told, hey, we want you to bunt, go bunt, or swing away and try to move him over.
I think how you do it depends on your talent. If you're an 8th place hitter and a right-handed batter and the pitcher is going to be pinch hit for, then you bunt him over. If you're a 3rd place hitter, I think I'd rather see him swing him over instead of bunting him over.
0-1 the count with the infield in. Pujols takes the ball. Already had a good indication as to how talented this right-hander Batista is. 11-8 during the regular season, and as we mentioned down the stretch, only 2 earned runs his last 19 innings pitched for the Diamondbacks. Gave some relief work to Arizona in Game 2 days ago, and now he makes the start here in Game 3. Here's a 1-1. To third, Polanco gets back to the bag. Out at first is Pujols. 2 away. Big out for Arizona. And now it's up to Jim Edmonds for St. Louis.
That's why Bob Brenly had the infield in. Watch Matt Williams take 1 step or a step and a half toward third. He tries to get Polanco. And Polanco, it looked like, was trying to make a fake break back toward home. Animation. Watch. Perhaps trying to interfere with the throw of Williams. Not interfere exactly, but kind of.
Now Edmonds with a runner at third, 2 out. Ball 1, and obviously Batista can be careful with Edmonds with Paquette waiting on deck. But Paquette, a guy who hit over 370 with runners in scoring position this year for St. Louis. See if Edmonds gets something to hit. It's 2-0.
There's Paquette on deck. It's interesting with Jim Edmonds. He has a widespread stance. You watch his front foot, all he does is pick it up and put it down. There's no stride in his batting stroke. Matter of fact, you can't stride with that particular style of hitting. You're too far when you start. As you look at Mitchell Page, the hitting instructor.
Tried to unload there in the count, 2-1.
It's fashionable now to pick that foot up, but Jim just picks it up and puts it right back down.
So the Diamondbacks just lost a runner at the plate in the top of the inning. Cardinals missing a scoring chance here in the bottom of the inning unless Edmonds does something. That's down into the corner. It's a foul ball, just foul, and the count 2-2.
There's no better left-handed high ball hitter in the game than Jim Edmonds. Watch him get on top of this high cut fastball. Normally the characteristic of a left-handed hitter is that he's a better low ball hitter, but it certainly does not apply to Jim Edmonds.
Polanco was at second with nobody out. Drew with 27 home runs bunted him over to third. And in Drew's defense, one of the reasons why he does bunt is because of his tremendous speed. It's not typical of a lot of guys that can hit 27, 30 home runs, but Batista made the play. Pujols grounded out, and now the 2-2 pitch to Edmonds. Diamondbacks will have the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, Miller, Batista, and Womack in the 5th.
A lot of times in determining what to do, think about the opposition. If you're Bob Brenly with Batista facing J.D. Drew, would you love to see Drew bunt? If I'm Brenly, I say, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take the out, forget about Drew.
Edmonds hits one into deep right center field. Back is Finley at the wall. 2-0 St. Louis.
Slider, and what a 4th inning for Jim Edmonds.
His plus minus is +3. He took one away at the plate. He put 2 on the board for St. Louis, and that'll do it as Paquette grounds to short. Jim Edmonds, a guy who drove in 55 runs from the beginning of August through the end of the year, goes deep in Game 3. Jim Edmonds, as Tim said, a terrific 4th inning. Threw out a runner at the plate, turned around and hit a 2-out, 2-run home run. It's 2-0 St. Louis. Jim Edmonds close friend Troy Gloss is here, the Anaheim Angel, who hit 41 home runs this season, 47 last year. He's a guest of Jim Edmonds, and Jim just lit up St. Louis with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 4th. And now Kyle will work to Damian Miller, who has one of the 2 Arizona hits.
Jim did what his good buddy Troy Gloss has done 88 times in the last 2 years.
And then there's Edmonds, who got to the 30 home run mark for the 2nd consecutive year with the Cardinals. Last 50 games, including the playoffs, hitting .373 with 55 RBIs in those games. 1 ball, 1 strike on Miller. And you're talking about a guy, Tim, who hit 400 in April and then just fell apart. Hit .215 from the middle of July until the mid part of August. Miller got it off the end of the bat, and Edmonds recovers for the first out of the inning. The 4th inning for Jim Edmonds. Cutting down Mark Grace at the plate to end the top of the 4th. Cracking one out of the ballpark to end the bottom of the 4th with a 2-run home run and a bow to the crowd. So 1 out. Batista swings the bat. Mentioned his first time up, 2 out of 32 at the plate this season. With a squirter. Pujols takes it, 2 out.
Joe talked the last inning about the possibility, not the possibility, but the likelihood of Curt Schilling starting tomorrow if the Diamondbacks lose tonight. And keep in mind that the forecast for the St. Louis area is very poor tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all day. And if the game is rained out and the Diamondbacks lose tonight, in my mind, it would be more of an advantage for the Diamondbacks because they would have Schilling on regular rest, Johnson on regular rest. However, to combat that thought, Matt Morris, who's 15-2 in this ballpark, would be starting for the Cardinals on Sunday.
I think each team would take a rain day.
Yeah.
If you just want to talk about the pitching situation. But if you're the Cardinals and you're moving Schilling up on short rest, and then Randy Johnson, if it has to go to 5 games on short rest on Sunday night, well, the advantage is for the Cardinals, who would then have the 2-1 lead. They'll pitch the rookie left-hander, 21-year-old Bud Smith, tomorrow. And then, if need be, go back to Matt Morris for Game 5. So this is a big night in this series. It always is. Game 3 in a divisional series, best of 5, and the Cardinals lead 2-0 in the 5th. 0-2 to Womack, still 0-2.
Joe, let's include another element. If you're the Atlanta Braves, you hope it rains here in St. Louis tomorrow, and you hope that Schilling pitches Sunday, and you hope Randy Johnson pitches Monday. And the playoffs would start with a rested Atlanta Brave team if the Cardinals win the series, as we said. But the Atlanta Braves hopes this series goes 5. So both sides will spend as many pitchers as possible.
Here's an 0-2 to Womack again, and he grounds to first. That leads Pujols to the bag, and we're halfway through Game 3. Bottom part of the order will bat for St. Louis. They lead it 2-0. We welcome you back to St. Louis. Cardinals bat, bottom of the 5th, 2-0. The home team on top. Our Radio Shack trivia question. Tony La Russa has managed 3 different teams in the postseason. White Sox, A's, and Cardinals. Which manager has appeared in the postseason with the most teams? The answer, Billy Martin, 4 of them. 69 Twins, 72 Tigers, the Yankees, 76, 77, and the A's in 1981. A look at all the scouts that are here scouting this series. And there are some organizations paying some money for their scouts to sit at this ballpark in Game 3 of the division series. Ron Brand from the Yankees, one of 6 scouts the Yankees have on hand here scouting these 2 teams, as Renteria It's a one-hopper to Williams, who's been busy. 1 out. Here is our MasterCard fan cam. The 5th inning in St. Louis. Miles Davis for you.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Matheny. He takes a strike on the inside corner.
Used to be an area here in St. Louis fashionable in, I guess, Midtown, Gaslight Square, where jazz was played at many places. What a great town St. Louis is, and do they ever love their Cardinals and Rams.
The Rams are the Johnny-come-latelys, but right now they appear to be the best team in the NFL. World champions 2 seasons ago. And a lot of players will tell you, hometown players, visiting players, that this is the best place to play.
Yeah, we forgot the Blues too. The NHL entry, the St. Louis Blues. And St. Louis, one of the great soccer towns in the country. I'm really surprised it's not in the professional soccer league, but my understanding is perhaps they will go in as an expansion team either next year or the year after.
Did not know that.
They do have interest, and a lot of people don't know that St. Louis is such a huge soccer city.
Batista rings up his 3rd of the night, and he's pitching well despite the 2-out 2-run home run by Edmonds. We remind you that tomorrow our exclusive postseason coverage continues with a triple header across the Fox family of networks. First at 1 Eastern here on Fox Family. It's game 4 of this series. Diamondbacks and Cardinals. Then at 4 Eastern on Fox, the Mariners and Indians square off in game 3 of their divisional series. And finally at 7:30 Eastern on Fox, it is the Yankees and A's as the Yankees try to avoid a 3-game sweep. Another full day of playoff baseball action across the Fox networks, your exclusive home for the 2001 postseason and the World Series. Our game here presented by Budweiser tomorrow, as it is here tonight. Breaking ball in for a strike, and it's 0-2 on Darryl Kyle. Anheuser-Busch is right down Broadway, downtown St. Louis, over into the Soulard area. Kyle strikes out. Batista really has given the Diamondbacks 5 good innings. Darryl Kyle will go back to the hill. It'll be the big bats for the Diamondbacks, including Gonzalez in the 6th.
On Fox is presented by Budweiser. Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Sixth inning, Craig Counsell, Luis Gonzalez, and Danny Batista will bat for Arizona. Top of the order will step to the plate for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 6th. And as we said last Saturday, the 6th inning has been important for the Cardinals this season. The Cardinals lead the league in all of baseball. When leading after 6 innings, they have blown only 4 games, have only 4 losses. But when they trail after 6 innings, they have only 3 wins, and that's the fewest in Major League Baseball. So the 6th inning, although statistics you can usually throw away a lot of them from the regular season, that is an important one as we play here in the 6th inning in a 2-run game. The first pitch is low for ball 1 to Craig Counsell. It's a strike, and it's 1-1.
We talked about how unusual the stance and the way Craig Counsell holds the bat. In hitting parlance, it's called curling the bat, but you can see how far he would have to come to hit the ball out front. Usually a stance like that and a way that a hitter holds that bat is reserved for hitters like Darryl Strawberry, the big strong thumpers.
Julio Franco with the Braves.
Yeah, right. who had a home run in today's game against Houston.
There's a strike, and it's 2-2 on Counsell.
You have to be awfully strong and have very quick hands to bring the bat that far into the strike zone and hit it out front.
You can be sure one hitting instructor after another tried to get him to change that. As he just gets a piece. So Counsell trying to battle his way on, and this is an important at bat with Luis Gonzalez waiting on deck. Roller foul. So you've got Counsell in the lineup for Arizona as we take another look at his swing.
It's a long way to go.
Jay Bell has been a bench player. Counsell has taken over that second base spot. Breaking ball is dumped into shallow left. Renteria, what a good jump he got on that ball. 1 out.
Fine play by Renteria. That ball did not have a lot of hang time. He had to get a good jump on it and did. Off the end of the bat by Counsell. Tracked down by Edgar Renteria. Good play.
So now Gonzalez. Father of triplets. It's been talked about quite a bit. He and his wife are busy when they are around the house, and by all indications, they took part in an ad with Dad. Oh, is that great?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese. It's too far inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. I know every member of the media wears this out every time they talk about Gonzalez, but he is truly just a wonderful human being. That is stroked deep into right field, down the line. It is gone. A home run, Gonzalez. And the lead has been cut in half. It's 2-1. He hit 57 during the regular season, and that's the way he breaks out of an 0-for-10 slump in the division series.
Darryl Kyle trying to come inside to Gonzalez. Didn't get it far enough inside. You could see Matheny setting up inside. The only question, was it fair? Well, it hits the pole. Cheese.
So with 1 out and nobody on, Bautista checks his swing, and that's ball 1. So all of a sudden it's a 1-run game. That ball was just launched by Gonzalez.
Oh. Had it not hit the screen, it probably either hits the facade of the upper deck or in that area right below the upper deck.
414 they're calling it. Right down the line and off the screen to the inside of the foul pole. And a pop-up on a jam shot. Pujols. 2 out here in the top of the 6th.
If you are not a baseball fan and you're wondering what screen we're talking about, it's the screen on the foul pole right in that area right there. But had it not hit the screen, it lands in that little area with that white fence. I think 414 feet. That should be enough.
Now Grace, who has walked and been thrown out at the plate. When he was cut down at the plate by Jim Edmonds, it ended the top of the 4th inning. After a base hit by Steve Finley with 2 out. And then Edmonds in the bottom of the 4th inning went deep with 2 out. A 2-run shot. Now it's 2-1. Tight series throughout. Opposite way, and Renteria from the hole, gathers, throws, and got it. Good play. And the top of the 6th inning is over. So is the slump for Luis Gonzalez. He breaks out of it 0 for 10 prior to this. If it's fair, it's gone. 2-1 Cardinals.
Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Hey, it's the bottom of the 6th inning, top of the order for the Cardinals, and you never know, Tim McCarver, who's going to show up, and it's our honor to have Bob Costas on our air.
Bob, these are the controls. This is your talk back. All of that, you understand that.
I'm very rusty by now. It's just a pathetic Lend-Lease program worked out between Dick Ebersol and David Hill.
Right.
I'm reduced to this, wandering in off the street.
Well, we're happy to have you. So, if you don't mind, it's been what, 5.5 innings, and I've been sitting here listening to Tim, and Tim and I have already done a few games during this division series. Why don't you
if
do
you
this
think you're corralling me into doing this, I'm not
Come
doing
on.
it. No, 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 no.
This is Fox Family, baby.
You know, what does Fox Family show when they don't have baseball?
Well, we've been promoting a lot. Rocky 5 is coming up.
Family program.
Oh, yeah.
Family programming.
It's good family programming to watch someone beat the dickens out of someone.
That's right. There's Rocky 5. There's 13 days of horror and Halloween coming up, leading up to Halloween.
You know, the little tots love that.
They do.
Yeah.
Mary-Kate and Ashley, I'm sure, have been on. And baseball, the great American pastime, as Vina slaps it foul down the left side.
Some Suzanne Summers Thigh Master infomercials, I understand.
That, I'm sure, is a part of it, as Brian Anderson and Mike Morgan get loose for the Diamondbacks out in their bullpen.
So if all that's true, you guys got to be hoping this goes 17, 18 innings. There's nothing waiting behind you. You haven't got Letterman or Leno or Koppel in the bullpen.
That's right. But we're very proud to be on Fox Family.
Just to have me come on and
just blast it.
And waste it.
Here comes a 1-2 pitch, and instead Batista steps off.
Your HBO show is going well?
You were a guest last season. We come back. We come back in March. You guys are just bucking to get fired. You have me on here. You plug HBO. You rip all of Fox Family's programming.
You did. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Vina, who's 1 for 2. Well, what do you think? You know, you look at this game. We're here sitting in a stadium after all that happened on September the 11th. Tim and I were just up in New York. I know if you weren't up there during those games, I know you were watching the last couple of nights. And the ceremonies that have taken place at the ballpark, what's happened during the 7th inning stretch, being out, being in those ballparks with all those New Yorkers and people rooting for the Yankees, it's been 2 of the most exciting nights of my life.
It's been very moving, and I think in almost every case, in every ballpark around the country, it's been handled with dignity and just the right touch. It hasn't been overdone, but it's been appropriate. By the way, Vina grounded out to Grace unassisted. You might want to mark that down.
Okay, I'll write that down. G3, that's the way I do it. Polanco at the plate. I miss you doing baseball. Can I say that as a guy who used to sit and just wait for you to make a mistake so I could dance around my hotel room?
You know, that is pathetic.
It is. But we all do it. You know, you've sat there going, come on, just do something terrible.
Not you.
I'm just kidding. 1 ball, no strikes, and Polanco takes ball 2, 2-0. You should be doing baseball, sir.
There I am, former baseball announcer.
There's your friend Mike Weissman getting on you down in the truck.
Yeah, longtime producer for us at NBC in the Game of the Weekdays in the 80s with Vin and Joe and myself and Tony Kubek. All the way to Fox Family.
2 balls, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on, and that's ball 3, 3-0.
You know what I'm actually thinking about doing? George Brett's brother Bobby runs the independent club, actually rookie league club, up in Spokane, Washington. And I'm thinking next summer of going up there and doing just that season, which fits perfectly from the end of school to the start of school. That's a walk for Polanco. That way my son, Keith, who's 16, could go up there, and George and Bobby said he could suit up and take BP and take infield before every game and just do those games on the radio just for the love of it.
Oh, that's great. I give you 1 week.
Before I bail?
1 week. Wait a minute. Back on the bus? What do you mean the bus? That is a fun existence, and for you and Keith to take a part in that would be special.
I'm just looking forward to all the Motel 6s and Days Inns.
Here's J.D. Drew, a runner at first, 1 out. Pujols on deck. 2-1. The Cardinals out in front in the 6th inning, and a breaking ball falls in for a strike.
You're not going to do to your son what Jack Buck did to his son and leave the booth and make him do play-by-play, right?
You never know. He's going to have to be my color man and stat man. I don't think they have a big budget for the broadcast wing.
No balls, 1 strike.
How old were you then, Joe?
I was 18.
18 years old.
1-1. I know that your daughter Taylor is waiting for Dad to come back downstairs.
She's downstairs with 2 of her friends.
Anytime you want to throw down that headset after you make good with Fox Family and leave the booth, you can. But you can't come to this booth and not go on the air with us. It's you know, you've been so good to me at the start of my career, especially at the network level. I want to thank you in front of this crowd for all that you've done for me and all the kind words and helping welcome me. And we do miss you.
You deserve it. I think with your dad, Jack, already there, Jack and Joe, Tim, have a chance to be the first ever father-son combination in the broadcasters wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Check on the runner at first, Polanco, who's stolen a base in this game.
Now, don't let up. You got to do this for about 30 more years before you qualify, but you're off to a decent start.
Okay. All right. I will not let up. 1 ball, 1 strike on Drew. Bunted his last time up. Now he grounds to Grace. Down to second, out, back to first, not with JD's speed, and the inning continues for Pujols. Good luck with the Olympics coming up. And,
thanks.
I know security is an issue there, and that'll be something that you guys will be talking about a lot, at least at the start.
Yeah, Mitt Romney, who runs the Salt Lake Organizing Committee, and Jock Roga, who was the head of the IOC, said almost immediately after September 11th that the $200 million allocated in federal funds for security in Salt Lake wouldn't be sufficient. So they're redoubling the efforts, and already there would have been a high level of security, and now I imagine it'll be close to airtight. I guess you can't make anything 100% perfectly safe, but they'll come as close as humanly possible.
Well, we'll be watching. Runner at first with 2 out. And here is Albert Pujols. 2-1 the score. Bottom of the 6th. And there's a strike as Albert went up there wailing away. Batista, Tim McCarver, has turned in a very good start for Arizona.
Really has. The home run by Jim Edmonds after the fine play by Edmonds. What a 4th inning Edmonds had. Top of the 4th, throwing out Mark Grace at home plate, and then the 2-run home run, and that's the difference in this ball game after the home run by Gonzalez.
You know, we talked about Mike Weissman a little while ago. You learned a lot from that guy. He is a wonderful producer down in that truck.
Yeah, we had a great time. Mike always tried to make it fun.
No balls, 1 strike, 1 on, 2 out. And Pujols takes a pitch high, 1-1. I think the audience probably liked it better when you were ripping Fox Family.
Yeah, now we're ladling it on a little too thick.
Yeah.
This is the Fox
Family Hour we're doing here.
Tear-jerking hour, yes.
I noticed Steve Horn to your left, Joe, is almost beginning to weep. It's so moving and touching.
He's got that soft side to him.
Yeah. He gets maudlin very easy.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at first with 2 out. There's a strike, and it's 1-2. So Batista's mixed his pitches, and now looking ahead to the 7th inning. It'll be Matt Williams, Steve Finley, and Damian Miller, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters for Arizona. What is right now a 1-run game. 2-1, St. Louis on top here in game 3 with the series even at a game apiece. 2-2.
Good play by Damian Miller. That ball bouncing close to the plate and smothered by Miller. J.D. Drew forced to hold at first base. Nice play.
So Pujols steps back in. Albert tonight has grounded out twice. 37 home runs during the regular season, hit .329. Homered in game 2 off Randy Johnson and pops one into shallow right here. That's Batista to back up Batista, and we go to the 7th inning. And Bob Costas, pleasure having you on.
Thank you, Joe.
All right,
you're on your own.
All right,
Robert.
Okay.
We will muddle our way through the next 3 innings. We go to the 7th here in St. Louis. Williams will lead it off, 2-1 Cardinals. 7th inning, it's 2-1 St. Louis out in front. Again, great pitching. Miguel Batista, Darryl Kile. Home runs have accounted for all the runs in tonight's game. The home run by Luis Gonzalez last inning makes it 2-1. Here's Matt Williams with Steve Finley and Damian Miller to follow. If anybody gets on the pitcher spot, so if anybody gets on, Miguel Batista is likely finished, and he did very well here tonight. Matt Williams, it's 16 home runs during the regular season. Much more dangerous hitter on the road. So far 0 for 8 in this series, and Kyle made him look bad on that pitch.
That's where Darryl Kile has been all night to Matt Williams. And with that swing, Matt has not made the adjustment, particularly on the first pitch. You can understand a swing like that, 0-2, 1-2, but not on the first pitch.
Bouncer for ball 1 with Steve Finley on deck. A guy who has line to right, singled up the middle, potential RBI with 2 out, but Grace was out at the plate in the 4th inning. The Cardinals have a left-hander, Mike Matthews, getting ready in the bullpen in case Matt Williams presents the Diamondbacks, and Finley in particular, with an RBI chance. 2-1.
Now, if you're Matt Williams, you look away. You're trying to tie the ball game, get an extra base hit. Ryan Anderson continues to throw for the D-backs. Pitcher due up 4th in this inning.
Now it's 3-1. So Darryl Kile in a spot where he's going to have to challenge Matt Williams.
I think Bob Brenly may have been talking about, if Williams gets on, whether to use a pinch runner or not.
A leadoff walk and a good start to the inning for the Diamondbacks. Right now for a game break, here's Jeannie Zalasko.
From a good start to possibly a finish, is the Yankees dynasty in jeopardy? Could be thanks to the young Oakland arms. Tim Hudson pushed the Yankees to the brink of elimination Thursday. Game 3, it's Barry Zito's turn to finish New York off. Youth versus the experience of Mike Mussina. Follow the entire tourney exclusively on the Fox networks. Joe?
All right, Jeannie. Now a meeting on the mound with Finley at the plate. Finley's hit the ball hard twice, and the tying run at first with nobody out.
This is a conference designed to give Mike Matthews a chance to warm up. Here comes Tony La Russa. So it'll be the left-hander in to pitch to Finley.
So Mike Matthews will trot out of that bullpen, and in front of a crowd of over 52,000 here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, take over in the 7th. 1 on, nobody out for Arizona.
Vision Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Well, another good one in this series between Arizona and St. Louis, as Mike Matthews will take over, and it appears he will face Steve Finley. No sign of a pinch hitter yet. And Matthews will work to Finley with a tying run at first and nobody out in the 7th. 61 batter relief appearances this season, and well, that should follow suit here in this game 3.
I would think so, Joe, with Finley followed by Damian Miller, a right-handed batter. That's why Timlin's warming up in the bullpen. So Mike Matthews probably out there to face one hitter. Bob Brenly, on the other hand, was not going to bunt Finley against Kyle. But does Bob change his mind here? And you brought up another interesting point. Or do you pinch hit for Finley, who batted only .235 against lefties this year?
Especially with Jay Bell, Greg Colburn, and Reggie Sanders sitting on the bench. This definitely has to be considered.
Sure.
Kyle not pleased with a leadoff walk, his 5th of the night to start this 7th inning. Tying run is on. Go ahead run at the plate for Arizona. They show bunt, and Finley pulls back from ball 1. Finley is line to right, single to center. That was against the right-hander Kyle.
Normally you don't bunt to tie in the last 3 innings if you're on the road. Obviously the D-backs trailing by a run. Bob Brenly chucking that right out the window, because by doing that it gives him a reason to keep Finley in the game.
The bunt is to Polanco. Fires to second, and they get Williams. You brought it up earlier. If you're going to bunt, you at least have to think about pinch running for Williams. Polanco thought about that, checked it, and on the second time said, well, it's there. I might as well take the out.
That's it, exactly right. He looks at second, hesitates, and then looks at second again and said, wait a minute, Williams is running. And he's a force out at second base. So this is not going to be a one-batter relief appearance. Probably would have been had the sacrifice been successful, I would think.
The presence of a couple of left-handers on their bench figures in. And by the way, Matthews throws hard. You can see 93 miles per hour, a former starter earlier in the year for St. Louis. Miller now, the pitcher, will follow. And they've got DeLucci and Durazo, 2 left-handed batters that they like coming off their bench. So an opportunity here for Mike Matthews, trying to pick up for Darryl Kyle. Tying run at first, 1 out. And a check swing. It's 1-1. This is where a guy like Mike Matheny factors in. Finley stole 11 bases during the course of the regular season, and this, I would say, during the regular year would be a running spot. With Finley on.
Too tough a combination with the left-hander Matthews and the strong arm of Matheny.
2-1.
Slider misses.
Mike Matthews behind on the count. That's into left field. Trying to cut it off is Paquette. He will. It's first and third, 1 out, as Damian Miller gets a base hit. And now the tying run is 90 feet away.
Had Miller hit that ball into the position in left field, then Finley stops at second. But it's in left center, forcing Paquette to go to his left, and Finley going to third easily. So not only a hit, but a hit in the right place for the Diamondbacks.
Now it'll be Colburn announced as the pinch hitter. And we'll see if Tony La Russa is going to go out and get Mike Matthews. I know you were surprised he didn't go get him for Miller.
I really was. Now here's Dave Duncan out to talk to Matthews. And it does not appear that Duncan is going to make the move since La Russa makes the pitching changes here.
So Batista could be the loser, could go the no decision route, or could be the winner depending on what unfolds here in the top of the 7th. Runners on at first and third, 1 out. And Greg Colburn at the plate, and this inning has been managed in atypical fashion by Tony La Russa. You could understand the left-hander Matthews coming in for Finley. They got the out.
Right.
Tying run at first, 1 out, and he leaves Matthews in for Miller. Even with a full bullpen at his disposal, and now Colburn takes a pitch up and in, ball 1. The Diamondbacks have a very good bench, and Colburn is a big part of that. 278 off the bench for Bob Brenly.
Because of the pinch hitting prowess of Bob Brenly's ball club, that's why he bunted with Steve Finley. This is hard to figure, Joe. You know, I agree with you. I thought the right-hander would have been in to pitch to Miller, and now with Colburn up there, I do not understand this one.
Runners on at first and third, one out. Big chance for the Diamondbacks. 2-1 St. Louis in the seventh. Colburn, a flare into left field. That's going to fall for a hit. In to score is Finley. Going to third is Miller. It's a 2-2 game, and the go-ahead run is 90 feet away.
Well, if you're Tony La Russa, why would you have the right-hander warming up if not to bring him in to face right-handed hitters? Miller and now Colburn delivers. The Diamondbacks have tied this ball game and have the go-ahead run at third in the person of Damian Miller, who hesitated and then makes it rather easily.
So Colburn delivers. He's lifted for a pinch runner. Adri Cummings takes over at first base.
This play may have squeeze written all over it. Womack, an excellent bunter. He tried to bunt with first and second in game one.
Double play ball. Vina comes home instead, and that's the second out of the inning. It's still tied. With Womack running, Vina didn't want to take the chance, and they get the lead runner at the plate, 2 out.
A middle infielder has to make his mind up right away. Do you go for 2 or go home? You cannot hesitate. And Vina with the proper play, and Joe, you're exactly right. With Womack running, you can't take the chance of doubling him up. Well, what an odd inning this has been. Nice play by Fernando Vina.
So now in a 2-2 game, runners on at first and second, and Craig Counsell will bat, with Jay Bell sitting over on the bench. And Counsell could put the Diamondbacks on top. Ball 1.
Brenly telling us before the game that in a situation where La Russa brings in the left-hander, he will allow Counsell to hit because Craig handles left-handers very well.
Well, he gets a chance here to put the Diamondbacks out in front, the top of the 7th. Two on, 2 out, 2-0 with Gonzalez on deck.
Nice play by Mike Matheny. It seems that Tony was leaving the left-hander in for the 1, 2, and 3 hitter, but the 8th and 9th hitters came up obviously before them, and they've done the damage this inning.
Here's a 2-0. 2 balls and a strike.
Cardinals with one of more resilient left-handers in baseball, and Steve Klein in the bullpen. Tony La Russa would favor saving Klein for the 8th or 9th innings.
On 2-1, Counsell takes ball 3. And the Diamondbacks hoping to get Gonzalez to the plate here in the 7th inning. Some anxious moments here in St. Louis for these Cardinal fans. You see what Counsell did against left-handed pitching, .337 during the season. Count in his favor, and he hits one into deep right. Back into the corner. This ball is gone. 3-run home run, Counsell. And a 5-2 Arizona lead here in the 7th inning. Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan will be second guessed
Absolutely.
for weeks with the way this 7th inning has been handled.
One of the reasons we flashed that graphic up there that the Cardinals lead the majors in one batter relief appearances was we were almost sure that if Finley hits, then the right-hander was going to be up there. But it's Craig Counsell, as Joe said, .337 hitter against left-handers during the season, who smokes one here in the 7th inning.
And credit Bob Brenly, who put Counsell in that number 2 spot.
That's right.
For precisely that reason.
That's right. Telling us before the game what his thinking was and how prescient he was. Not often a manager makes a move and it works like this.
Two balls and a strike now on Gonzalez. Craig Counsell, who was part of that '97 World Series team with the Marlins, with a big hit, delivers here, and Mike Matthews is getting booed by some fans here at Busch Stadium. And Tony La Russa will be questioned by all who watch this game as to how this 7th inning was played. Gonzalez takes strike 2.
Matthews falling behind. Craig Counsell having to come in with Gonzalez on deck on that 3-1 count. A fastball on the inside part of the plate and a huge hit for the Diamondbacks.
Here's a 3-2 to Gonzalez. That's a fair ball. Polanco throws off balance. Base hit. And the inning continues. And Tony La Russa walks out to the mound to get Mike Matthews. And this crowd lets him have it. Just to go back, a leadoff walk. Mike Matthews comes in to face a left-hander, Finley, who drops down a bunt into a force out at second. Runner at first, 1 out, 2-1 St. Louis leading. With Damian Miller coming up.
Oh, baby! Stay there! Get up! Get up! Get up! Yeah! Yeah!
That was the result. The crowning blow in the inning by Craig Counsell. 5-2 Arizona. Well, Bob Brenly put Craig Counsell in the number 2 spot. And Craig Counsell with a count in his favor.
Oh, baby! Stay there! Get up! Get up! Get up! Yeah! Yeah!
Bob didn't need a mic to be heard.
No. So the Diamondbacks lead by 3, 7th inning. And Mike Timlin takes over. And I am sure that Mike Timlin thought he was coming in 5 batters ago.
I was going to say, you know, we're trying to be as fair as we can up here, but when you're 5 batters too late, that's late.
There's been a walk in the inning, 3 singles, a 3-run home run by Counsell. The 3 runs that have the Diamondbacks on top, scoring with 2 outs. An infield hit by Gonzalez, and now an 0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Trying to think through it and think with Tony La Russa, he had to be thinking about the 1, 2, and 3 batters. But obviously, your 8 and 9 batters are going to be the hitters against the left-hander with a runner on at first and only 1 out. So to get to 1, 2, and 3, you got to get by 8 and 9, and they didn't. 2 hits, 1 by Miller, 1 by the pinch hitter Colbran. Not only scored the tying run, but put the go-ahead run on at third. and he was cut down. But then Craig Counsell with a dramatic 3-run home run. Man.
Runner at first, 2 out, the 1-1 to Batista. That's strike 2. Danny Batista is 0 for 3. Struck out, he's grounded out, he's popped up. A .302 average during the regular season. One of the other lineup changes for Bob Brenly for this game 3. And again, if the Diamondbacks win this game, they will go with Albie Lopez tomorrow afternoon. And if there is a game 5, it would be a rematch of Matt Morris and Curt Schilling, but that is way down the road. Right now, it's Arizona having some 7th inning fun with 4 runs up on the board. And a 2-2 count. A lot of this, Tim, has to do with not having a dominant closer. Steve Klein was brought to this team to be a left-handed setup man. Steve Klein has become Tony La Russa's best option in the final inning. So by saving Klein for later, he used Matthews here in the 7th inning. Was unwilling to use Klein in the 7th. And it was Matthews who gives up the 3-run home run by Counsell. Timlin ends the inning as he comes in to get Batista. But by our count, 5 batters too late. Well, a new pitcher for Arizona as they will trust a 5-2 lead. The left arm of Brian Anderson, 4-9 during the regular season. Predominantly a starter the past few years, and he takes over here in the 7th, facing Jim Edmonds. A 3-run Arizona lead, and swinging at the first pitch and grounding to first is Edmonds, 1 out. Let's go back to the home run by Counsell. So with 1 out and nobody on, the batter will be Paquette. Great work by Miguel Batista, who's in line for the win and deserves a victory if he gets it. It's up to the Arizona bullpen right now after allowing 2 runs on only 3 hits. Only 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You come into this ballpark and hold this team to 2 runs over 6 innings. You've done a fine job, and he did that. Mike Morgan, Greg Swindell, the left-hander, warming for the Diamondbacks.
Really, each bullpen has quite a few questions swirling around it at the start of this series. Both pitching staffs are weighted to their starters. They do have Byung-Hun Kim. He has struggled with an ERA of 4.70 in September and October. Tony La Russa will be rethinking and replaying the top of this inning until tomorrow night's game as Paquette strikes out, 2 gone. And again, you said it once, I'll say it. To be fair, we talked about it prior to the non-pitching change, showing the graphic that the Cardinals led baseball in 1-batter efforts by relievers this season, figuring, especially after Matthews got the bunt from Steve Finley. They got the force out at second, tying run at first with 1 out, that they would go to the right-hander for Damian Miller. They didn't. Hits by Miller, Colbran, and then later a home run by Counsell. 2 out, nobody on, and Renteria, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You said the last inning, as you look at the hero of the moment, Craig Counsell, that the Cardinals do not have a dominant closer. When you don't have a dominant closer, you have to play it more according to the book, getting to whomever you choose to be a dominant closer, be it Veers or Klein or whomever.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Renteria. Tony La Russa will tell you that every pitching change, while he gets input from Dave Duncan, is made by the manager. That's the way he learned it. That's how he has done it through his career. That decision, or non-decision, was made by Tony La Russa. Here's a 1-2 pitch, and Renteria spoils it. So again, if the Diamondbacks win here tonight, they'll be trying to wrap up the series tomorrow behind Albie Lopez, who's had 2 good starts down the stretch for Bob Brenly. He'll oppose a left-hander, Bud Smith. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Renteria.
And just think about it. If Albie Lopez wins tomorrow, the Diamondbacks win tonight, then it will be Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson to open against Atlanta.
That's well hit down into the right field corners. Got a chance. It is a home run. Renteria goes deep, and it's 5-3 in the 7th.
Chuck Merriweather, the right field umpire, waited and waited and waited to make sure. Renteria with terrific hitting. The screwball away, going away. We have a blind spot from where we are in the booth, and I could not tell, as you see Bautista disappear. I couldn't tell. We can tell right there. Hitting the Outback Steakhouse sign.
Now Matheny goes into right center. Finley on the run to end the inning. Well, the Cardinals get one of those runs back. 1 run, 1 hit. The home run by Renteria. That makes it a 2-run game as we go to the 8th in St. Louis. We welcome you back. It's the 8th inning now, and tonight's game summary brought to you by Nissan. The Diamondbacks leading 5-3. We are through 7 innings. Craig Counsell with the biggest swing of the bat tonight by far. Edmonds a 2-run homer back in the 4th. Gonzalez a solo home run in the 6th. His first hit of this series. He has singled since then. Bautista, Miguel was outstanding for Arizona. And again, if Arizona wins tonight, it'll be Albie Lopez, the right-hander, against the 21-year-old rookie left-hander, Bud Smith, tomorrow. Bob Brenly pulled all the right strings in that 7th inning. And now Timlin will work to Grace, Williams, and Finley. Here in the 8th. Ball 1 from Mike Timlin, who came on to get Bautista on a ground ball to end the top of the 7th. Slow roller to Pujols.
Third baseman, Matt Williams.
That'll bring in Matt Williams, who has struck out and walked twice. Darryl Kyle left last inning after a leadoff walk to Matt Williams. As he walked off the mound, it was 2-1 St. Louis. Now it's 5-3 Arizona. An inning later.
Something else to consider as Tabaka is warming for the Cardinals. That was Mike Matthews' first postseason appearance ever. Mike Timlin, on the other hand, has appeared in 2 division series, 4 league championship series, and 2 World Series. So the experience, from an experience standpoint, it's clear to say that Timlin should have been in there.
Timlin had trouble landing after that pitch left his hand, and the count 2-0. Matt
Williams out of the way of that tailing fastball.
So the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Finley on deck with Tabaka getting loose in the bullpen. And a shattered bat. Polanco picked up and throw, 2 out. So now with 2 out, we'll see if Steve Finley bats against Timlin.
Steve Finley.
Or if Tabaka is the pitcher, and it appears to be Timlin. From postseason experience to matchups to whatever, the only reason to leave the left-hander Matthews in the game last inning was the presence of either DeLucci or DeRozzo on the bench for Arizona. But looking ahead at the time, it was stunning that a move wasn't made, and looking back, it's hard to reason. Here comes a 1-0 pitch. Finley, 1 ball, 1 strike. Steve has a single. He's lined out, and then he bunted into a force out, later scored in the 7th. We ask you to go to MLB.com to bid on special autographed and game used items currently up for auction to benefit the Disaster Relief Fund. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Joe, if you're going to go that route, let's say with the right-hander Damian Miller up there, and we talked about how the Cardinals lead the majors in 1 batter relief appearances, then you can have Tabaka, another left-hander, or Klein. There are 2 more left-handers to deal with out of the Cardinal bullpen. You can have them come in to pitch to the left-handers.
Finley gets one off the end of the bat, singles into center. And Mike Timlin will work to Damian Miller, who's 2 out of 3 and had a huge hit for the Diamondbacks in the 7th. After the failed bunt by Finley, runner at first, 1 out, Damian Miller singled into left center field off the left-hander Matthews, and the trouble is starting for the Cardinals, and something sweet and nice was happening for Arizona. Runner at first, 2 out. Miller takes one up and in, ball 1.
I guess you could look at it this way. A well-rested Cardinal bullpen. They had a 1-run lead. They had to get 8 outs to hold the Diamondbacks away from tying them. And they had 8 pitchers with which to do it, with whom to do it.
That makes it 2-0 on Miller. DeLucci waits on deck. Mike Timlin wears a camouflage t-shirt under his uniform top. He's worn that all year. As he brings home a 2-0 pitch. Two balls and a strike on Damian Miller. This game has entered a weird phase, hasn't it? Odd feel here at the ballpark as Timlin brings home a 2-1 pitch. 2-2 on Damian Miller. St. Louis in the bottom of the 8th will have the pitcher spot up first. This crowd will try to get the Cardinals going as Arizona has a 2-run 8th inning lead. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Instead, a look over at Finley.
Crowd here in St. Louis just getting their breath back, collective breaths, after that 3-run home run by Counsell.
is a 2-2 off the end of the bat toward the Cardinal dugout, where Mark McGwire is seated. His replacement, Craig Paquette, is 0 for 3 in tonight's game. So McGwire not involved in this game, was not involved in game 2. Hitless in game 1. The 2-2. Pena right there for it. Force out at second, and after a 2-out hit by Finley, the Diamondbacks strand their 6th of the night. It'll be the 9-1-2 hitters for the Cardinals. Miguel Cairo is announced as a pinch hitter to start the inning. Bob Brentley pops right out of the dugout, goes to the mound, and will make a pitching change.
It's a smart move on Brentley's part, because in the process of pinch hitting, Tony La Russa will either have the right-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher or waste a right-handed batter.
It'll be Mike Morgan taking over to start the bottom of the 8th. 5-3 Diamondbacks.
Division Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Tomorrow, our exclusive postseason coverage continues with a triple header across the Fox family of networks. First at 1 Eastern. Here on Fox Family, we'll have game 4 of this series between the Diamondbacks and Cardinals. Then at 4 Eastern on Fox, the Mariners and Indians square off in game 3 of their AL Division Series. And finally at 7:30 Eastern on Fox, the 3-time defending world champion Yankees try to avoid a sweep out in Oakland. Our game here presented tomorrow by Budweiser, as tonight's game is. And here is the first pitch from Mike Morgan, a former Cardinal. He's been everywhere. To Miguel Cairo, strike 1. On the outside corner, 0-2, good pitch.
Bob Brentley and the Diamondbacks realize they're in a position where if they end the game with 1 pitcher for 1 out, they'll do it. They'll use 6 more pitchers. The Cardinals have staggered their lineup with left, right, left, right, left. We'll have to see myriad pitching changes in this inning. But it was a good move by Brentley to send Anderson out there, make Tony La Russa put the right-handed pinch hitter up there, and then bring the right-hander in. And then Tony had the option of keeping Cairo in there, bringing up Gary Robinson, the left-handed hitter. A lot going on down there tonight.
42-year-old Mike Morgan with a 1-ball, 2-strike pitch to Cairo. Morgan has been with Oakland, the Yankees, Toronto, Seattle, Baltimore, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Cardinals, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Cubs again, Texas, Arizona. Since 1900, that is a record. 12 teams in his career. 1-2 pitch. That's foul. Steve Klein, it appears, will take over in the top of the 9th inning. Cairo batting for the pitcher Timlin, who went an inning and a third with 1 hit, the rest 0. Here's a 1-2 to Cairo. Good start to the 8th inning for St. Louis.
Might be one of those games now that regardless of what decision you make, it's going to be wrong, so don't make it. Brentley bringing in the right-hander to pitch the right-handed batter, and Cairo singles.
So here's Pena, tying run at the plate for St. Louis, 8th inning, 5-3 Arizona. They've out-hit the Cardinals 8-5. Runner going, hit and run, throw down to second, too late. Pena threw the bat at the ball as the Cardinals try to get action going on the bases, and Cairo is just safe.
Damian Miller did all he could. It is a distraction when a hitter falls across home plate. Cairo is safe, the high tag. But the bat left Vignea's hand. He fell across home plate. It certainly made it tougher for Miller to throw.
Now an 0-1 count on Vigne.
Here it is one more time. They hit and run. The ball's about 6 inches outside, and watch Vigne. Throws the bat. It falls across home plate. Miller has to redirect his stride and trying to get Cairo.
Tony La Russa trying desperately to get Jose Oquendo's attention over at third as Vigne pops it up down the left field side, and it will get out of play. 1-2.
Joe, the only thing that I could think of that Tony was trying to get Oquendo's attention was to be a bunt. Even though they're trailing by 2, would he do that? In the 8th inning, trailing by 2, bunt the runner to third. Would make a lot of sense, would it? Well, what other reason would he be trying to get Oquendo's attention?
He didn't get it. Foul ball was the result with Polanco on deck. A 1-ball, 2-strike count on Vigne. What a swing.
Now think about this at bat by Vigne. He's thrown the ball, thrown the bat, missed the ball, fell across home plate, and then that swing. But he's still hitting.
Took that out of the glove of the catcher, Miller.
Not pretty, but he's still up there.
Runner at second, nobody out. A ball and 2 strikes on Vigne. 2-2. Up by 2 runs, the Arizona outfield playing deep. For Fernando Vigne, who surprisingly set a career high with 9 home runs and 56 RBI. Into center field for Finley. Backing up, Cairo tags but holds. Strong throw by Finley, 1 out.
Fine play by Finley to get in position to throw. There would be some center fielders who would lope back on a ball like that, be back on their heels, but watch Finley. He makes the play, coming in on the ball to be in the position to throw, and Cairo forced to hold at second with the Cardinals trailing by 2.
So now Miller is out to talk to the pitcher. Womack and Counsell come in with Polanco at the plate. J.D. Drew on deck, so you would have to believe, although I say this and hesitate as I do it, that this would be the last hitter for Morgan.
One would certainly think so.
Polanco with a runner at second, 1 out. Ball 1. Morgan appeared in 31 games this season for the Diamondbacks. All but 1 were out of the bullpen. Bob Brenly is going with experience out of the pen in this situation. The 1-0 pitch. That's easy for Williams. 2 out. And after having a runner at second with nobody out, the Cardinals have Cairo at second. 2 out. J.D. Drew coming up. You would expect Swindell to come in, although we'll wait and see.
Both managers have us gun shy up here. Well, Mike Morgan will pitch to the left-handed batter, J.D. Drew. Oh.
Runner at second, 2 out. Ball 1. '24 of Drew's 27 home runs coming against right-handed pitching this season.
And it would take a home run to tie it.
Awfully careful with Drew, but that's the tying run. Don't want to pitch around Drew to the point where you just give him a free pass to first. With a guy like Pujols, who drove in 130 runs this season on deck.
He led the Cardinals. He was the Triple Crown Cardinal winner. And he's pitching around the go-ahead run. This is a screwy game.
I mean, why is Swindell warming up, if not for this situation?
That's right. Joe, I could not agree with you more.
And Morgan has yet to come anywhere close to the strike zone. Now the tying run is on for St. Louis, and Pujols will come to the plate. And it'll be Kim, the closer for Arizona, with 2 on, 2 out, and the rookie sensation coming up.
But if you're going to bring Kim in, why don't you bring him in to face J.D. Drew? If you're going to have a right-hander pitch to a left-hander, why not bring in Kim to pitch to Drew? And then you have the added advantage of having Kim out there when he faces Pujols.
It is a first guesser, a second guesser, a third guesser's dream here in game 3. 2 on, 2 out, 5-3. Arizona will take a break. Manny Batista takes over in center field as the Diamondbacks pull Steve Finley from their lineup, put Reggie Sanders in the game in right. He's batting 9th. He'll lead off in the 9th. And Young-Hun Kim, who was 5-6 with 19 saves and an ERA of just under 3, takes over. Albert Pujols will be the hitter, and Tony La Russa wants to figure out exactly where these guys are hitting. So with the double switch and with the change, Finley's out. Game 2, first inning, 1 on, 2 out against Randy Johnson, and a shot down the right field line to make it 2-0. The Cardinals won it behind Woody Williams. A final of 4-1. Now it's Pujols at the plate with the tying runs on. 2 out, 8th inning, 5-3 Arizona. Game 3 with the series tied at a game apiece. Ball 1.
Something else that you may consider, Batista now is the center fielder. He's been playing right the whole game. Steve Finley is the best center fielder on the Diamondbacks. So he could have weakened his defense with a double switch.
That's ball 2 with Jim Edmonds waiting on deck.
Right.
Team Triple Crown, first time for this Cardinal team since the early 70s when Ted Simmons did it. Rookies to lead their team at average home runs and RBIs. The last guy to do it was Piazza with the Dodgers in '93. Up on the count, 2-0. 3-0. Runners on at first and second, 2 out. And Pujols at the plate. Three and 1. Again, if Kim doesn't get Pujols, Jim Edmonds waits on deck. Gene Stechschulte gets loose for the Cardinals in their bullpen. Swindell still loosening for the Diamondbacks. Pujols walks and the bases are loaded. Cardinals have Edmonds at the plate against a submarine-style right-hander. Left-handers typically see this type pitcher well. And Edmonds, who has already gone deep in this game and had 30 home runs during the regular season with 110 RBIs, bats and could tie it with a hit.
But the difference is too great. Edmonds batting about 80 points lower against left-handed pitching. Well, here's Bob Welch out to talk to him, however. There are so many things in this game to talk about for both managers, moves that have been made. Mike Morgan pitching around J.D. Drew, the potential tying run, not coming anywhere close to the strike zone. And now things are set up for Jim Edmonds against Kim. Edmonds a .323 hitter against right-handers this year.
The runners on, bases loaded, 2 out, 5-3 Arizona. Jim Edmonds at the plate. Edmonds 0 for 2 in his career against this right-hander, Kim. Ball 1.
The further Kim falls behind, the better pitch Edmonds will have to hit.
Into right center field. He did not get it all, and that's Batista sliding. Lost his footing. Stayed up and made the catch, and the big threat after all that comes up empty. Edmonds knew it. Now we go to the ninth. Gene Stechschulte, part of that closer by committee setup for Tony La Russa, will take over and at least pitch to Reggie Sanders, leading it off in the ninth inning. Kyle 6+ innings. Matthews 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs on 4 hits with a home run allowed. Timlin an inning and a third. Good work by Mike Timlin. 1 hit. Now Stechschulte. Craig Paquette will take over at third base. Cairo stays in the game. He's in left. And Polanco is lifted. That's where the pitcher Stechschulte will hit. Klein still getting loose. Left-handed batters to follow after Sanders. And in one of the crazier games that you and I have done in the 6 years that we've been doing postseason baseball, it goes to the ninth inning with the Diamondbacks, and that's all Bob Brenly cares about. 5-3. The Diamondbacks lead it with 3 outs to get defensively to take a 2-1 series advantage and pitch Albie Lopez tomorrow against the 21-year-old rookie Bud Smith. Again, if the Diamondbacks should lose this game, they would push Schilling up to pitch on 3 days rest and try to get the series back to Arizona. If they win, they'll go with Albie Lopez, who is no slouch. I mean, he could come out here and shut down St. Louis. I know a pitcher that you like a lot, and wrap it up. And then, as you mentioned, the Diamondbacks and Braves would go into the NLCS with rested pitching and some very interesting matchups. The first 2 games of the NLCS. Reggie Sanders leads off and gets a base hit to left. Started the night on the bench, batting in the number 9 spot. The Atlanta Braves are in the National League Championship Series as they sweep the Houston Astros 3-0, winning in Atlanta today 6-2. Oakland and the Yankees, they will be in Oakland tomorrow with the Yankees down 2-0. I think the entire baseball world impressed with that Oakland team. And the other series, Seattle and Cleveland, they will be in Cleveland tomorrow with that series tied at a game apiece. So Steckschulte comes in, gives up a hit, and now it's Steve Klein taking over in the ninth. A lineup card. Guys scratched out all over the place. The Cardinals have used 5 pitchers now. The Diamondbacks have used 4. One of the crazier. Well, I am dubbing this game the craziest game of the first round.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
Steve Klein takes over, 3-3 record with Womack, Counsell still the hero, and Gonzalez coming up. Sanders at first and nobody out as the Diamondbacks try to get their 3-run lead back here in the 9th inning.
And this is about as clear a signal as we've had all night. A lot of vague signals, but this is clear. He'll be bunting.
Tried to bunt against Klein in game 2. In the 8th inning, Klein made a nice play off the mound to get him at first. There's Spire going through the signs down in his third base coaching box. First one to Womack. Foul.
Womack is not the type of hitter who gives himself up quickly. He is more of a drag bunter, even in a sacrifice situation.
That's above the league average,
I would say.
7 for 7 this season when dropping down sacrifice bunts. And he's in the hole 0-2.
He may even bunt with 2 strikes. Womack is the type of hitter who does that. He's an excellent bunter, as you saw, even with 2 strikes. We'll see what Bob Brenly does. Bob may give him the option of swinging or bunting.
Paquette still way in at third, expecting the bunt with 2 strikes. And Klein steps off.
If you're thinking that and you're a pitcher, you lose nothing by throwing a high fastball out of the strike zone. Throw him a cap high fastball. He's going to bunt it. Chances are he'll bunt it foul or take it.
Ball 1. St. Louis in the bottom of this 9th inning will have Paquette, Renteria, probably a pinch hitter for Matheny, and then Cairo. The bottom part of the order for Kim. Don't forget Mark McGwire is on that bench for St. Louis. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Instead of check on the runner Sanders. Womack set up, and another throw to first. Game 4 of this series is an early start here in St. Louis tomorrow, and Tim talked about it at the start of the night. The weather forecast for tomorrow is for rain all day. Eventually, Klein will bring the ball to the plate.
You know, if you're the Atlanta Braves, once again, we talked about it earlier in the game. The Atlanta Braves hope that these 2 teams go to 5 games. Get their pitchers as tired as it takes to win the best 3 out of 5.
Eventually, Steve Klein will bring the ball to the plate. Sanders a leadoff hit, then the pitching change. And the bunt with 2 strikes is perfect. Paquette's throw, the sacrifice good, 5-3. So 7 for 7 during the regular season. Now perfect in the postseason, and with a runner at second, 1 out, the batter will be Counsell.
The obvious risk with the bunt like this with 2 strikes is that if you try to bunt it down the line and it rolls foul, it's a strikeout. So you have to use the fatter part of the field. A 2-strike bunt is usually right around the pitcher. Paquette with only 1 play, and that was to first.
Counsell mildly booed as he stepped into the plate, and I bet that felt good.
Oh, yeah.
Craig Counsell booed here in the 9th inning after taking Mike Matthews out of the park down the right field line for easily the biggest 3 runs of this series so far. Runner at second, 1 out. Ball 1. Tonight, 3 out of 5 of the Diamondbacks with runners in scoring position. 1 out of 15 in the first 2 games, while the Cardinals were 0 for 12. Two 2-0. Two and 1. So while we dissected the approach at the plate by Counsell with that hands being held high and the long swing and trying to come all the way around and get it back through the hitting zone, Counsell with the biggest swing of the bat of this series back in the 7th.
He got it through the hitting zone. Did he ever?
Mike Matthews had fallen behind to the count, 3-1. Counsell looking for a pitch, and he obviously got that pitch. Here's a 2-1. That's ball 3 with one of the biggest threats in baseball waiting on deck, Luis Gonzalez.
That is not to say that Craig Counsell was looking to pull a ball out of the ballpark, but what Craig was doing, I'll tell you, he was looking to hit the ball hard. It happened to be a pitch that, when hit hard, went out of the ballpark.
3-2 on Counsell. Five to 3 Arizona in the top of the 9th. Still 3-2. The Arizona Diamondbacks have been around since 1998. They won the West in 1999. Lost to the Mets in the division series. Finished in 3rd place last year. Won the West this year. Ball squirts away, but Sanders will hold at second. It's 2 on, 1 out. A walk to Counsell with Gonzalez coming up. So the Arizona Diamondbacks trying to get to the League Championship Series for the first time in their 4-year history.
They played the Mets in 1999, and the Mets on a home run by Todd Pratt of Matt Monti in Game 4 at Shea Stadium. And it was the New York Mets who played the Atlanta Braves. Went down 3-0, won the next 2, and lost Game 6 on a walk by Kenny Rogers.
Gonzalez takes a strike. Todd Pratt. Game 4. Manti looked like he knew it. Just got over the wall as Finley gave it somewhat of a jump as he jumped into the wall, and that was the end of that series. There's ball 1 to Gonzalez. Louis could blow this game wide open. He is 2 out of 4 tonight with a home run, a single. 2 runners on, 1 out. And Gonzalez hopped out of there. Two and one. Steve Kline, since the 5th of July, an ERA of 0.91.
That's in 43 games.
8 for 8 save opportunities tonight, just trying to keep it close. That's into shallow right. Vina is there. They called the infield fly rule, 2 out.
One of those rare infield flies that are called by the right field umpire.
There are the numbers for Kline. The last 43 games, and that includes the postseason. Kline has a save in this division series. He has been phenomenal after a lot of work last year with Montreal. 83 games last year, 89 games this year after throwing in 82 games in 99. 2 on, 2 out. Bautista takes ball 1. 254 appearances from 99 through 2001. The 5th most by any pitcher over a 3-year span. To the shortstop, Renteria. Out at second in this game. Game number 3 of this division series goes to the bottom of the 9th. Bottom of the order coming up for St. Louis. Kim back to the hill. It's 5-3 Arizona.
Division Series on Fox, presented by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
We welcome you back. Game 3 of the division series between the Diamondbacks and Cardinals. Kerry Robinson leads off as a pinch hitter and takes a strike. Robinson, then Renteria, then Matheny's spot. You may see another pinch hitter. Wire is on that bench for St. Louis. Here comes an 0-1 to Robinson. The bunt. Perfect.
Oh,
base hit.
What a blueprint. Right on the grass. If it doesn't stay on the grass, perhaps it squirts foul.
Robinson was in the next county by the time Kent got the ball to first base.
He was making his turn at first.
May have injured himself.
Now Tony La Russa out to talk to Robinson. Did not look like it was a hamstring or anything. Perhaps jammed a heel going into first base. I guarantee you one thing. Mark McGwire's got a bat somewhere in the dugout. Somewhere.
Well, all of these major league dugouts now, or at least most, have a hitting cage area off to the side. McGwire's not in the dugout. Maybe at least getting loose. Leadoff man is on. St. Louis with a chance here in the 9th inning, down 5-3. Renteria will be the hitter.
May be premature to talk about McGwire, but he is a low ball hitter, and Kim, to be effective, has to keep the ball down.
Tying run at the plate, Renteria. Homered his last time up. Wow. That has got to disturb Bob Brenly. There are wild pitches, and then there's that.
I tell you, in my view, the reason it should disturb Bob Brenly is when a hitter sees a pitch this far outside, it was only wide by about 4 feet. A hitter doesn't look for that pitch anymore. All you look for is a fastball. That was a slider about 4 feet outside. So if you're the hitter, forget that pitch.
Renteria 2 for 2 in his career against Byung-Hun Kim. There's the fastball. 87 miles per hour in the count 1-1. Doesn't rely on tremendous velocity, just a different arm angle, and it's tough for these hitters to get a good look at it. Robinson, a bunt single down to second on a wild pitch, and strike 2 over the outside corner.
Again, a fastball.
Pitch isn't working.
That's the slider attempt. That was about a foot high. The other one 4 feet wide. Outfielders reminded in this situation, do not take the bait. Do not try to throw home and get Robinson. Throw the ball to second base on a base hit.
The 2-2. Just threw his bat at it. The bat ends up beyond the mound, and the ball ends up back in the screen as a foul ball.
Another spinner.
The Cardinals, with 8 pitchers out in their bullpen, have a limited bench. They have Bonilla left, Marrero, and McGuire. Robinson at second, nobody out. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Renteria. This game 3 sets up the rest of this series. The pitching matchups tomorrow and in game 5 if necessary. 3-2.
Kim is having a tough time from the stretch. The runner on at second base means nothing. If I'm Bob Brenly, I'd tell him to wind up. Who cares if he goes to third? If you want to wind up, wind up. Because he has had a ton of trouble throwing that slider for a strike from the stretch.
Here's a 3-2 to Renteria. The tying runs are on with nobody out. And Bob Brenly has got to be concerned with the way Byung-Hyun Kim is throwing the ball.
With nobody up for the Diamondbacks. And Mike Matheny talking to third base coach Jose Oquendo. The bunt is in order. It would take a lot of courage to put a hit and run on right here with this hitter. This is almost as automatic as Womack bunting in the top half of the ninth.
I wonder how a guy like Kim, who throws submarine style, is to handle as a guy up there to bunt.
Easier to bunt a submariner because he keeps the ball down where you're trying to bunt the ball.
Strike 1. Well, last night at Yankee Stadium, you used the phrase guts of a burglar. It would take guts in that category for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals to switch off, but the Diamondbacks are asking for trouble with Matheny swinging the bat with these infielders moving all over the place.
Yep. Perhaps that's why Damian Miller's going out to the mound now. Also right here is to bring the third baseman in and again give the runner on at second third base. Throw the ball to second base as though there were nobody on. You have a 2-run lead. The runner at second is insignificant. It doesn't matter. Play the game like he weren't on second base.
The problem is, in this situation, Renteria is able to get such a big lead with Grace playing so far in front of him.
But if you bring the third baseman and first baseman in, He may get a big lead, but you just go to second base with the ball.
No balls, 1 strike. That's high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, we have certainly had plenty to talk about here tonight.
This is a very entertaining game.
At least for us.
Yeah.
And these fans now are back in it after a disastrous top of the 7th.
Joe, just to explain that play, it's a play design when a team is exactly 2 runs ahead. The lead runner is insignificant. The trail runner's the tying run.
The bunt is a foul ball. Foul ball. And strike 2 on Matheny. Brenly's going to argue that he could not have had a very good view of that ball.
You see the line right there is rubbed out. It's very difficult for an umpire to make a call because there's no line to tell whether it's fair or foul. See, there's no line near there. If the ball hit him when he was out of the box, he's out. But clearly that ball was foul. You could see the line enough to know it was foul.
Well, Matheny has not looked good at all trying to bunt Kim.
Now if he bunts it foul, obviously it's a strikeout.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 on, nobody up. 5-3 Arizona in the 9th. Right down the middle, and Matheny strikes out. Does not advance the runners, and it's 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and a huge out for Arizona. You want a little more drama? Here comes McGuire off the bench, representing the winning run. Mark McGuire, who had 29 home runs during the regular season, out of a total of 56 hits. An overall average of 187. And for a guy who has hit 583 career home runs, his confidence is low. Two on with 1 out.
So is his hitting ability. Low ball hitter.
Strike 1.
We said we knew he had a bat somewhere. And you were right, Joe. It was in the tunnel.
Quickly an 0-2 count.
Normally teams would play Mark to pull and put the shift on. Craig Counsell, the second baseman, was to the right of second base on the first 2 pitches. You have to take the possibility of the double play into consideration. And it would be tough for Counsell to make the double play if he's on the left side of second base.
So 2 on with 1 out. No balls, 2 strikes on McGuire with Vigna, the next scheduled hitter. 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Nearly caught the outside corner. Winning run at the plate for St. Louis. Tying runs on. 9th inning, game 3. 2-2. McGuire stays alive as he just got a piece. Leadoff bunt single, a wild pitch, a walk to Renteria. Matheny struck out trying to bunt. And McGuire is pinch hitting for Cairo, representing the winning run. That is a fair ball. Bobbled, thrown, double play, and the Diamondbacks win game 3. Matt Williams made the play, 5-3 to end it. A crazy night in St. Louis, and the Diamondbacks have it set up the way they want. Up 2-1 with Albie Lopez scheduled to pitch tomorrow against the 21-year-old rookie Bud Smith.
Harry Robinson almost beats the play at third base. The ball juggled by Williams, bobbled there, steps on the bag, and completes a double play. What a ball game.
For more information on today's game and for the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com. Bob Brenly made changes to his lineup. The most significant change, Craig Counsell batting in the number 2 spot. In the 7th inning with 2 on and 2 out and a 3-ball 1-strike count, Craig Counsell hits a 3-run home run that's the game winner, and the Cardinals end the game with a chance in the 9th inning. McGuire at the plate grounds into the game-ending double play. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. So long from St. Louis. We'll be back here tomorrow, 1 Eastern, for Game 4. You've been watching coverage of Major League Baseball playoffs on Fox Family. Good night.